Right, listen up. If you have ale, then you have a friend in Grog Strongjaw, a Goliath of towering height and size. This barbarian has an appetite for the two great loves in his life: combat, women, and ale. Wait. Easily the brains of the group, Grog is often consulted for his vast knowledge of shapes, colors, and shiny things. Also ale. In his early years, armed with his two-handed great axe, Grog often enjoyed proving his might amongst the ranks of his family's wandering herd. But after coming upon an unsuspecting elderly gnome in the woods, he objected to the killing of such an innocent life. A creature of impulse, Grog felt only pity for this terrified little thing. His disobedience cost him dearly. Beaten bloody and banished by the herd leader, his uncle Kevdak, Grog was abandoned and left to die. Exiled from his herd, it was then that the relative of the very gnome he fought to save saved him. It was the kindness of a gnome cleric named Pike that healed Grog, bringing him back from death's edge. And they have remained close friends ever since. Most nights, Grog can be found challenging entire taverns to wrestling matches, or accompanying Scadlin to the nearest house where you pay for lady favors. Also ale.
A first impression of Keyleth would leave you with little information on the half-elven druid. You might even think that her social awkwardness due to her sheltered upbringing is kind of sweet. Of course, it would be unwise to underestimate her based on first impressions. Under that unintimidating petite frame is a vicious beast waiting to be unleashed, whose natural powers have made even the fiercest of champions pee their pants. Literally. Born to the air tribe of the Ashari people, Keyleth was raised with a deep love of nature and the elemental magics. It is her people's inherent duty to protect the delicate areas in Taldore, where the four elemental planes begin to bleed with this realm. Since she was a little girl, she had quite a knack for air manipulation and beast-shaping abilities. Well, if you consider kittens and flying squirrels to be little beasts, which I do. Anyways, it wasn't long before the headmaster of the tribe, her father, Corin, realized her true prodigious abilities, and she was inveterated to succeed him as the next headmaster. Just like that, her jovial childhood was stripped and replaced with endless spell memorization, teachings from ancient traditions, and exceedingly high expectations. Every druid leader-to-be must embark on a journey to seek out the sister tribes in order to introduce and establish respect amongst the fellow headmasters. They call this the Aramente, or Noble Odyssey. When her father felt she was ready, he set her on the path to truly discovering herself, not knowing when or if she will ever return. As she hiked down the mountain towards Stilben, she meditated on the task ahead. Part of the Aramente is proving yourself a strong warrior, a valiant protector, and a wise and compassionate leader. With this knowledge, one thought plays and repeat in her mind. Is she even worthy?
Percy was the third of 7 children, born to a noble family who lived far to the north, in the ancient castle of Whitestone. With so many siblings to share the burdens of lordship, Percy turned his attentions to the sciences, engineering, and naturalism. One day, a mysterious couple named Lord and Lady Briarwood came to court. During a feast held in their honor, the Briarwoods violently took control of the castle, killing or imprisoning everyone who would stand in their way. Percy awoke chained in the dungeon, only to be freed by his younger sister. Together they fled, chased by the Briarwoods' men. As they ran, Percy's sister took several arrows to the chest and fell. Percy kept running, eventually jumping into a freezing river and floating unconscious to freedom. He did not remember waking up on a fishing boat. He barely remembered the next 2 years as he slowly made his way as far south as possible. Then one night, Percy had a dream. A roaring cloud of smoke offered him vengeance against those who destroyed his family. When he awoke, Percy began to design his first gun.
Pike grew up in the outskirts of town, near the Bramblewood. Her ancestors were a family of deep gnomes with quite an unfavorable reputation. Thievery, destruction, and trickery left them with the curse of the last name Trickfoot. Sarenrae, the goddess of healing and redemption, had other plans for Pike's great-great-grandfather Wilhand, who left his family at a young age after a dream that changed the course of the Trickfoot family. Wilhand devoted his life to Sarenrae and pledged from then on that him and his family would live a life of service and devotion. As a child, Pike seemed to have an affinity to heal. Whether it was animals, people, or even flowers, she felt she had a purpose in making things whole that had once been broken. She studied and learned the ways to heal through divine magic. She lived a peaceful life, quiet and simple, until one day, Wilhand was captured and almost killed by a group of Goliath barbarians. One of the Goliaths took a stand against the murder of the innocent gnome, and he himself was beaten, bloodied, and left for dead, abandoned by his herd. Wilhand went to Pike for help. She prayed and healed this barbarian as best she could, bringing him back to life. When he awoke, she discovered his name was Grog Stonejaw. After that, they were the best of friends, a rather unlikely pair. Little did she know that in a few years' time, Grog would soon return the favor and bring her back from the clutches of death. After being killed in battle, Pike felt angry. She wanted to be stronger so that it would never happen again. She spent 4 months at sea, training with the men and women aboard a ship called the Broken Howl. Gripping her holy symbol in one hand and her morning star in the other, this time, Pike is ready.
Oh, you haven't heard of Scanlan Shorthalt? Well, gird your loins, ladies, because he has his eye on you. A talented musician, master of disguise, and dashingly handsome in his own mind, Scanlan sings songs almost as much as he sings his own praises. Born a poor gnome, Scanlan used his endless charm and soaring tenor voice to croon for coin and support his single mother. One day he was discovered by a half-orc promoter and joined Dr. Dranzel's spectacular traveling troupe, where he learned the ways of the world and honed his skills as a bard extraordinaire. A loner much of his life, Scanlan has never quite come to terms with the violent death of his mother at the hands of a goblin invasion. While his years on the road provided many, shall we say, educational experiences with the opposite sex, deep down Scanlan yearns for the one thing he's never known, the true love of a fellow gnome. Still, Scanlan considers himself a lover first, performer second, and fighter distant third. On the battlefield, he'll support his allies, but rarely draws blood, unless it's to protect fellow gnome Pike. Count on Scanlan for a hearty laugh, a rollicking song, and a twinkle in his eye that melts hearts and makes the female swoon.
Greetings and salutations. I am Tiberius Stormwind. I hail from a town called Tyrix, located in the heart of Draconia, born from a politically respected family. At the age of 15, I succeeded in passing the Sorcerer's Rite, showing prodigy-like control of my magic. The judges and the Draconian High Council were amazed at how powerful my spells were for how long I had been training. At 20 years old, I was the youngest appointed member of the Magic Guild in Draconian history. For the next few years, I almost went mad from the malaise of being a guild member, as it's rather boring. However, one day I happened upon a chamber unused for quite some time. In the room were stacks of books and maps of the surrounding cities and areas around the known world. For months I would frequent the chamber and learned of artifacts from legend. After a long period of research, I made a list of artifacts that caught my eye. I brought these findings to the High Council and was told that all of the information in the chamber I stumbled upon was either believed to be fiction or unsolvable mysteries, and hence were lost forever. I found those answers to be unacceptable. A year later, I devised a ruse and managed to convince the city council to lend support in me leaving Draconia on a mission of peace and diplomacy for the surrounding kingdoms, going from town to town and making friends and allies in and for the name of Draconia. Being a red dragonborn, I had quite the task on my hands in that respect. But it was exactly what I needed so I could explore the world and find these artifacts, as I felt the truth was out there. Some may describe me as buffoonish, but I say poppycock to all that. I am much sharper than most give me credit for. I just don't pay attention to things sometimes. I've also been known to be rather cunning, loyal, happy-go-lucky, and, well, dangerous. I can't help but show my true scales every now and then. But overall, I think I'm quite friendly for a dragonborn.
Never entirely welcome in the company of elves or men, Vax'ildan learned at a young age to skip past formality, preferring instead to invite himself in your door. Along with twin sister Vexalia, Vax was born by a chance encounter between elven royalty and human peasantry. Raised by their mother in their early years, the twins were eventually sent off to their father in the elven capital of Singorn. But their cool reception among the elves there never warmed, and their time in the capital didn't last. The siblings stole away one autumn night and set out on the open road. After a few years of wandering, they eventually decided to return to their mother and journeyed back to the lands of their youth. But instead of finding their childhood home, they returned to a pile of rubble. Their mother was gone, their home burned to ash. Pressing the townspeople for answers, they learned of the day the dragon came. With their ties all severed, Vax'ildan and his sister set out to find their fortune together in Taldore. An outsider since birth, Vax quickly learned to solve life's challenges in his own particular way, often by sidestepping them entirely. And when his knack for circumventing adversity isn't enough, the way of blades the elves schooled him in more than makes up the difference.
Like so many half-elves, Vexalia has spent most of her life suffering the cool reception of a people who don't fully accept her. Born of a human mother and an elven father who only later in life took an interest in their existence, Vexalia and her twin brother Vax'ildan quickly realized the only people they could truly rely on in this world were each other.
Hello everyone! Sorry for the delay, we had a few folks that were in transit, but we're all good, we're all here now, and welcome to a very special episode of Critical Role. We have a number of members of our party that are on vacation this week, so as opposed to continuing a climactic endpoint of a long 11 to 12 week story arc, we're going to go ahead and hold off a week and have them return next week to pick up where we left off just after the battle with the big bad beholder, Kavarn the Mad. However, this week what we're going to be doing is essentially a little workshop, a class if you will, on Dungeons & Dragons and role-playing games in general. For those of you out there that have never played before, for those of you who have played and want to pick up some new skills or ideas, and for many who are out there who have either had hard times dungeon mastering or been too scared to try being a dungeon master or game master, depending on your role-playing game of choice, we're going to try and dispel some of that and give some tips and tricks along the way. So, first and foremost, let's go around the table and say hello to everyone who is here. We have Marisha Ray, who plays Keyleth in our usual campaign.
Hello!
We have Taliesin, who plays Percy in our campaign.
Greetings. Hello.
We have Orion, who plays Tiberius in our campaign.
Good evening, everyone.
And the birthday boy, Liam O'Brien.
Oh, hey!
Birthday! Many birthdays for the win.
So we have the support team here for Critical Role to offer suggestions, answer questions, and help these other guys here I'm going to introduce in a second with their character creation. For the end of the evening, I'm going to completely improvise on the spot a short game for these fellows, and we'll see how that pans out. For some of them, their first game of D&D. We shall see how that goes. So let's go ahead and introduce on this side of the table. We have Dan Casey.
Hello.
Dan Casey.
How you doing?
Dan Casey, everybody.
Dan Casey in the house.
Dan Casey in the house.
Dan Casey.
Wait, Dan Casey. There we go. Dan Casey.
Dan Casey.
Casey.
Oh, yeah. Dan
Yes.
Casey.
Right over here.
Right over yonder.
Right over there.
Proper camera orientation.
Hollywood Squares.
Oh! Are we doing all this?
Circle takes the square.
Because of our layout.
So,
what's up, guys?
So what's your experience with role-playing game?
I am sort of a lapsed D&D player. I played a lot of 3.5. I played some AD&D back in the day when I had no idea what the term Thaco meant at all. I still don't.
Nobody really still to this day knows.
It's an eldritch mystery not meant to be known by the likes of man.
Yes,
Yeah.
completely agreed. Thankfully, that's gone now.
Exactly, yeah. So I've been playing a little bit recently. I just started a Pathfinder campaign with some friends, but I'm still... So I have a working knowledge, but I'm a little rusty, I would say.
Okay, no worries. Well, we'll try and get you up to speed on that.
Great.
We have in the middle here, dressed so eloquently, our fantastic overlord, Zach Eubanks.
I am the Snugglelord! Snugglelord! There have been none before me, and there will be none after. I am the Snugglelord.
It has been decreed. Here and now.
You killed and skinned the unicorn.
You can stop. Thank you.
Okay.
Our third party member, per se, of the newcomers tonight is in transit as well and should be here shortly. Should we introduce them or wait till they get here? What do you think?
So let's build
How are you
dramatic
doing,
tension.
Iffy? How's it going, man? Oh, good.
Cloak of invisibility.
It's cool. Giant penis jokes.
There you go. So we'll have Iffy here shortly. When they are, Iffy, although as I know, plays D&D and knows it pretty well. So we're not losing any speed by continuing without him.
Nope.
To begin though, before we go, we have a few gifts here that came in.
But you have more gifts?
Got here an inflatable Cthulhu beard
Dope.
with the Dungeon Master.
Oh my
I feel like
God.
going full Eldritch horror on you guys. I'll have a nice visual tool to help. I wonder if you can eat through it.
I kind of think the idea was that so you could be Clarota.
Right! I'm totally doing that next game.
Kind of think that's what they were going for.
That's true. I should do that now.
But can you eat through it?
But can you eat
It
through it?
doesn't- I can't.
Hang on.
I can strain food through it. Is what it looks
Can
like.
I blow it up? Can we try it out?
Go for it. Yeah. There are like tiny small mouth holes that are all segmented, so I'd have to be like a fine paste or you know some sort of a liquid bakery item I could just push
Pull
through.
it forward slightly and pour soup in.
Perfect. This will work out well.
It'll keep the bay leaf out. That's very useful.
Also, somebody presented this fantastic glittery dragon dungeon master mug that I'm enjoying my delicious beverage out of.
Oh, lovely.
So this is delightful, and it is getting all over my hands. So
Real glitter.
Don't question later. It's the mug. I haven't been out late with strippers.
Dragon strippers.
Dragon strippers. Those are the best. They're the most expensive.
They work for scale.
Yeah, I put that. There you are.
Good man.
I put that glitter.
Also, this awesome crocheted beholder bag.
Oh my god!
As a representation of our fantastic boss battle with Kavarn last week, I'm gonna find many cool
That's
things to
awesome.
put inside of this.
Holy crap.
That's dirty.
Or just wear it when I'm alone at home.
Also
and
dirty.
nothing else. It'll be great.
And nothing else.
Yeah, just this.
Oh boy.
It's got the right texture. No, this is awesome. Thank you guys so much. These are amazing. We had a few more gifts come in as well, but they're party centric to the whole group, and I want to wait until we have everyone here before we distribute those. So for those of you who sent those gifts, you know who you are. Next week we'll be unveiling those when everyone is present because I think they deserve it. Also, there was a letter that because our boss battle ran long last week, I didn't get a chance to read on air, but I'd like to read it for you guys right now. From one of our fans.
It's hot, right?
We'll talk later. Dear amazing, talented, giving, friendly, sociable cast of Critical Role.
No.
With all those adjectives in the salutation, it might be hard to write a letter, but I will do my best. Thank you, 1,000 times thank you for giving us so much of your time each week. I mention it frequently that your performances call back to the golden age of radio and the large cast performance dramas of the 20s and 40s. Those were awesome times. We're all aware how busy you are, with work as well as family, yet you are able to visit us each week, and on the rare instances your obligations prevent you from entertaining us, you've frequently joined us in chat, and Liam has stopped in a couple times during other shows as well. Your frequent drops in during the week are always a welcome surprise. The amount of involvement by you in the community is surprising considering how busy you are, although not unexpected when you make it so abundantly clear that you care about us and enjoy your interactions with us. Get me all touched here.
It's true.
There is a more collective statement about the entire community that is Team Human, but I really lose myself in a sense of awe at this community and how much we give and how supportive we are, which is very, very true. You guys are incredible. Thank you so very much for being part of it and contributing to it. You are all proving to be amazing examples of humanity and are inspiring us to ever greater things. I'm writing this letter the night of your Q&A, which we did a couple weeks ago, when we crossed the 1,000 shirt threshold, and your generosity with your time and your honesty really creates a welcoming atmosphere. Your reactions when we, in our own small ways, contribute to the stream or the charity or the fandom are enough to melt the coldest heart, and really, it only encourages us to do more.
Aww.
Watching you create this world, pulling out your character voices, and hearing the amazing shit that comes out of Matt's mouth, it's a phrase, it's amazing shit.
It's amazing
just constantly,
shit. Iffy!
Hey.
There we go. In quotes, seriously, what the hell was that screech tonight? Yeah, sorry about that. R.I.P. ears, I know. Show everyone what D&D can be. Not everyone is a professional voice actor, but you don't have to be a voice actor. You can make yourself more grandiose and gesture more. Your body language embodies the characters just as much as your voice does, even if you don't realize it. I also have to thank you again for being generous enough to agree to sign the shirt for charity. I'm planning on cutting a loop of highlights to have running for people who might not be aware of Critical Role, but there are so many. Jolene is ecstatic that this will be a part of their auction, and I can't tell you how rewarding that single reaction has been for me. I can't wait to see what they're able to raise for charity with it. So happy we could help with that. I would ramble on about you guys for a while, but it would merely be the disjointed ramblings of an overtired fan. That's okay, most of our talk is disjointed ramblings of overtired performers. Keep doing what you're doing. It is clear that you're all amazing people and are more than welcome to join the Team Human Facebook group. Ryan, Felicia, Zach, and most of the Twitch hosts are already there, and it's generally a cool place to hang out and be supportive of everyone. Well, check it out. Jump on that.
I've joined already.
There you go.
Team Human.
Thank you again for being such great examples of humanity and ambassadors of geekdom. It is a pleasure to be able to interact with you on the internets and occasionally via the straw poll. Engineering TPKs. Well done. Most sincerely, Scott Gropner, Useless Rogue. Thank you so much, Scott. That's a wonderful letter.
Rogue.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is sincerely and I'm gonna take a moment here just to say the community that has sprung forth for this entire Twitch stream, let alone for Critical Role, has been some of the most amazing and most invigorating examples of humanity I've experienced, not just on the internet, but in life in general. And in a world which is consistently beating down your faith in humanity, this is one of those bastions of light, I think, that lifts me up every day I wake up. So thank you guys for being as amazing you are, for tuning in, and for enduring us in a week in which we're not playing games, but talking about them. So
cool. I'm gonna poop caboose that.
Do it!
And be like, hey guys, don't forget to subscribe. We're like 7 or 8 subscribers away from giving away a signed photo of the Critical Role cast and a signed player's handbook, because that gets us at 3,150. Another 50 after that, and we'll do the giveaway all over again. So get that sub train going.
I love that since you found a name for it, you call it out. How's it going, all right? Yo, I'm about to coop.
Nope.
Coop
No.
in the
No.
You see?
Put the poop in the caboose and then it's overdone, you see.
Too soon.
way too soon.
That just conjured up some
I know.
Okay.
I know. I'm sorry. Hey yo. So introduce yourself. Iffy, what you got?
Hey, I'm Iffy Wadiway. You guys know me from Mulligan. Also do stand-up comedy, acting, and kissing Zach's hands with.
You don't have. They didn't see that. They didn't know.
Just want to let everybody know I kissed Zach's hand.
You can recreate it though.
All right. See, I grabbed it. I was like, "Hey, Zach." Thought it was a regular handshake. Surprise! It's a kiss among brothers.
Well role played.
Yeah.
That is a gift that will haunt you for the rest of your
I
days.
didn't realize that by putting on this costume, I was going to be inviting such behavior.
What, the Snugglelord?
Yeah.
Really
didn't
frowning
think that would-
eyebrows.
I didn't think it through, obviously.
Obviously.
Thank you so much.
You have to make a wish if you touch the horn.
nice.
Brings out your
I was
eyes.
gonna make a he was asking for a joke, but I feel like
Yeah, no.
Maybe just.
You're the only one.
I mean, you kind of did.
Just took the long way around.
took a long way around.
It is also the birthday of our fantastic half-elven ranger, Laura Bailey, who plays Vex in the show. The reason that their characters are twins is because they actually share a birthday, and they created it that way. So I thought that was kind of a cool little point there. But she's off with her husband in Greece, having great vacation times or whatever.
Musical numbers.
Wait, they went to the country Greece.
Yes.
I thought they went
They're
to the
seeing
show.
Greece.
Did you actually think when I said Greece that they were
North
Greece
Hollywood.
Like?
Yeah.
No, I don't think anyone does that anymore.
Well,
Like goes.
I don't know. They might have interest I'm not aware of.
That's very open-minded of you, Ryan.
Just saying.
Well done. All right,
Make
cool.
some respect.
So let's get this started.
Let's learn.
So, we're going to start here with a little overview of character creation. So, for most RPGs, especially those in the fantasy realm, this will be a very familiar aspect, but there are many different game types that run different things. But usually the point goes, you choose a race, and you choose a class. The race defines your physical background, your family bloodline, and what attributes that adds to you. A class is essentially the job or the way you've lived your life going forward and what skills you've acquired because of it. So throughout the player's handbook, you can go ahead and turn through the first few pages, first couple sections. You'll see there are certain races like the Dwarf, whom I love. Dwarves are awesome. Underrepresented.
Turn to page 62.
Exactly.
Player's
No
handbook.
players have.
Technically, page 18.
No, it's page 18.
Dwarves are cool. They're sturdy. They're strong. They're a little brash. They're, if that's something you guys are thinking about as you're coming up with your character ideas, Dwarves are fun for that reason. I'm going to breeze through these because you don't need to spend 30 minutes on races. We have elves.
What page we have?
Elves, you know elves. Lord of the Rings, elves are cool. They have high elves, which are a little more haughty and well learned. We have the forest elves, whatever they're called. Or just, I guess, the basic. Well, the idea is the older version. All right. We have wood elf, there we go. Which are more of the Legolas style, you know, in the woods hunting, being stealthy. And then you have the dark elves, which are the drow, that are from actually the Underdark, where you guys have been fighting through, though you've not encountered any drow in the Underdark.
Half a drow.
They're just blending in.
Yeah, we
counted half
like
a drow.
a stitchy
Half a
drow,
drow.
like
Stitch
a
monster.
Stitch
This monster was elven, not drow.
Oh, I thought it was a drow.
They're mostly bad.
Yeah.
Mostly
Thank
bad.
you.
So,
I would enjoy
there are also halflings, which you could say hobbit, but I think the Dungeons & Dragons version of halflings are a little more awesome, butt-kicking, a little less, I just want to stay home and make little farm animals.
We found what Lucas is.
One of my favorite pictures in the book, by the way.
Short.
The halfling.
The halfling on the mandolin. Yeah.
You got humans, which are cool and well-rounded, all across the board.
Right.
You got dragonborn, which have dragon bloodlines, like Tiberius over here. Like a breath weapon, they're strong, charismatic. You have gnomes, which we have 2 gnomes in our campaign. They're the smallest of all the races. They're also probably the most nimble and the most naturally resistant against magic types.
Are they the shortest?
They are the shortest.
Shortest.
Yes, shorter than dwarves and halflings. You also have half-elves, which we have quite a few in our campaign. Happened through some drunken evening between a human and an elf.
Sick.
Get a little bit of both sides. Then you have the half-orc, which is half-human, half-orc. Generally a much larger, stronger, quicker to anger, ready for battle type. And then you have the tieflings, who are humanoid, but have somewhere in their previous bloodline some contact with demonic forces that left them with some essence of the hells in their bloodline. So like horns, tails, yellow eyes. Think Nightcrawler from X-Men. That's kind of what a tiefling would look like, possibly with the horns. So those are the races. So if you have some ideas, keep that in the back of your mind. Write down on your sheet what you think would be a cool race.
I think a new one is the Jinn. Like there's like a Jinn race. Like there's like an air, a water, and a fire, and an earth elemental.
Like an
half-
evil genie?
Yeah.
That's cool. I
Like
look into that.
the new
Awesome genie.
expansion.
Right.
Like
And of course,
the Jinns.
we also have the Goliaths, which are half giants. We're not going to be worried about tonight because those are in the new Elemental Evil Edition. That's what Grog is. But they're big, strong guys. So keep in mind a race you want to play, which is cool. Classes we got. So we got Barbarian. Grog is a great example of Barbarian. Big, hardy warrior types that shun armor for just pure aggression and anger. They use rage as a means of destroying their foes, upping their abilities in combat, and preventing mental effects magically affecting them. We have bards. Bards are vastly skilled across the board. They have skills of all types, even things they don't know very well. They know a little bit of everything, kind of a jack of all trades. They have some minor spell casting. They also can inspire other people with song, speech, and help them out with certain skill checks. Bards are pretty cool. We got clerics, your healers. But you say healer, like, oh, I don't want to be a healer. Clerics also have access to really powerful divine magic. So while people may be, oh, clerics are dumb, you heal the party, they can also call down divine judgment, which is great.
Also, having a healer is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice being having a
Just a
healer.
second.
The hell, dude. Yeah, we should have just worn the same shirt.
We don't feel like you have to. This is a one shot. You guys can do whatever you want. We got druids, which do exactly. Oh, what could happen?
Druids.
I won't feel guilty about this one.
Thanks, man.
Hey,
come on.
First time in the game, done.
I take the physical challenge.
Physical challenge. Physical challenge. Druids also have some healing capabilities. They also have more nature-based magics. They're cool and they control nature. And can turn into beasts and creatures like that.
Giant scorpions.
Indeed. We have fighters. Fighters are just straight up fighters. Imagine what a fighter is. That's a fighter. They can use all armor and all weapons. They can generally get more attacks than other classes. They're generally like the martial, the generals, the warriors, the pit fighters. They're just more rough and tumble. Let's just damage each other. We've got monks. Monks, crazy fast. Punch and do awesome damage with their bare fists. They can avoid things. They can do multiple hits per round. They can use key points to inflict different types of attacks. Monks are basically, if you want to be Ip Man in the middle of a D&D campaign, pick a monk.
And I believe like the monk and sorcerer are the only ones that have like the point system.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have paladins, bastion of good and right in the world. Paladins stand for law and wonder And if anyone proves themselves evil, they will be destroyed and smited by the divine energies of their god. So they're generally pretty pious. They fight for good. They fight for the underdog. They can
Just like Zach perk up there.
Yeah. They have good fighting abilities. They can wear and use most armor and weapons, but they also get a little bit of divine cleric-based magic, and they can heal with a touch.
Total Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
Total Boy Scouts.
Got Rangers, which is what Laura's character, Vexalia, is. They have good either two-weapon or ranged combat. They can pick a companion animal if they want to. It's how Trinket came about. Definitely the Legolas of Lord of the Rings type. Arrow, everything's getting arrows. Arrow! We got rogues, which is what Liam plays in our game. Rogues are all about stealth, stabbing in the back, finding weak points in their enemies, and doing serious damage with precision strikes by distracting their enemies and finding where their weak points are. They generally don't have a lot of hit points or defenses, but if they can get in there sneakily, they'll do some serious damage. Then we got Sorcerer, which Tiberius is, which is a magical caster, arcane-based. Whereas a wizard is more of like the classic wizard you see with giant spell books, learning and Harry Potter style classes and that kind of that learned magical ability. Sorcerers have it innately in their blood from their bloodline somehow, and their casting ability is kind of like an improvised thing they just learned and are good at. So imagine more of a less learned, less controlled wizard that mostly understands some magic naturally. Whereas the wizard is the well-learned spell book type, more studious, have a larger breadth of spells to pick from. But the sorcerer is a little more improvised and can use points to instill power with it. Last but not least, we got a warlock. Warlocks are magical practitioners who draw their magic from making a pact with some otherworldly entity. It can be like demons or the Nine Hells, and they draw more hellfire and infernal type magics. They can make a pact with dark fae, which are basically like creepy Oberon-style, fairy elf people from Midsummer Night's Dream, or the great old ones like Cthulhu. Hi, Cthulhu, give me magic. What could possibly go wrong? Those are the warlocks. So those are primarily your classes. You get to pick. You choose a race and you choose a class. You guys have some ideas yet of what you might want to play tonight?
Oh, most definitely.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Well, what do you want to play? Let's start with Dan. Dan, what do you want to play?
I'm going to be a Dwarven rogue.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Rogue Tumblr. Not the blog.
All right, fantastic. How about you, Zach?
I am the Snugglelord. I am a warlock tiefling, and I derive my powers from all holy overlord of Geek and Sundry.
Okay.
The evil overlord.
That would fall under
Just
Infernal.
feeling really meta.
I'm going to say that most definitively falls under the Fiend Pact. So you're going to go to the Fiend Pact. And then, what'd you got, Effie?
I'm gonna be Ulfgar Fireforge, fighter, dwarf, two-handed swordsman, cut your face off, take your money. AKA true neutral.
Oh,
Neutral. Do it.
This is going to be a very fun short game.
We got this. What are you
Never
talking
made it
about?
out of that first tavern.
Oh man, you guys!
I set the place on fire.
Wait, we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Sorry.
Hold it back. Hold it back. Cool. So for each of you guys, let's go ahead and roll out some stats for you. So what you do to decide what your attributes are for your characters, that basically says how strong they are, how hardy their physicality is, how fast they are, and you have strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And those are the 6 stats. So for you guys, if you want to go ahead and take. There are different ways of rolling stats. Some people do a point buy system where you start with a certain base stat and you can buy based on points. For this, we're going to use my favorite system to do, which is you roll 4d6.
Oh, my favorite too.
A range is desired. So I guess for those of you who haven't seen how the dice work, there are different dice values in the game. You have a d4, which is a 4-sider dice. So this is a little caltrop, painful to step on. You got a d6, your typical 6-sided dice. d8, which is a little more pointy, that's an 8-sider. You got a 10-sider, which comes in 2 varieties. Regular or additional numbers. This is if you're doing percentage rolls, you know what the percentile dice numbers are. Pardon me. A d12, which is only really used if you're a barbarian, apparently. It's the saddest and the redheaded stepchild of D&D.
D12.
And oh yeah, that's right. You managed to use it too. It's great. I'm happy. It gets more love. It needs more love. D12 needs more love. And the d20, which is the most used dice in the game. Most all decisions are based on a 20-sided dice. We'll get into that in a little bit. So for the statistics. Need you guys to go ahead and take 4d6, so 4 6-sided dice. We'll start. Whoever wants to start, go ahead and you.
I have those four right up front.
Right up front.
There you are.
You roll them. Drop the lowest number.
Yahtzee.
Starting with a 7. Awesome.
Sev.
So you can decide where you want to put your 7 in any of the stats.
If your stats are super crappy, we'll roll again.
No, we won't.
Of course.
No,
Not
tonight. Never mind.
Time.
Yeah.
But normally, if
It's
your
not that
stats
kind
are
of
super
campaign.
crappy,
Play it where it lies.
Yeah. You can put it wherever you want to.
Yeah.
Which
So
stat is that for?
10 is an average score. An average person has a 10.
Whatever stat you
So,
want.
C minus.
what we generally do is roll all 6 and then write them down,
Yeah.
and then decide where you want to.
What you got over there?
Got 15 on my first one.
8.
That's pretty good.
Nice.
15.
15 and 8. What you got, Dan?
All right. Well,
Sorry, that
there we
that
go.
counts
Oh, there we
as a
go.
6.
Big 13. Big 13 in the house.
So that was
Big
sorry.
1-3.
And then
Correction,
16.
14 was that.
Alrighty.
Apparently this was from a Wild Western, and they have a bull's head as 6 instead of
There you go.
there.
All right. We got a 13 there. 13.
Alrighty. And we'll say for the purposes of this, we'll give you guys each, if you want to, roll 5 times,
All
not
right.
6.
5 times, okay.
All right, 12.
And 14 there, so okay.
Okay, so roll 5 times, and then everyone, for the purposes
finally.
of this game,
17.
there you go.
All right, and then we choose where to go.
And then, so you rolled 5 times, you have 5 numbers, then take a 16. You can put it anywhere you want.
Why, thank you, good sir.
I figure for this, that way if anyone just rolls crappy, you don't end up doing too bad.
Like Dan.
Got that 7 for a bit of character.
Exactly.
Dude,
That's what
lower
we do.
stats are some of my favorites. Like, honestly, having something lower than 10, at least 1, is great. That's how Grog gets his intelligence 6, Tiberius with his wisdom of 4. Like, those are great defining characteristics of a character, so.
Yeah, I generally have a charisma of 8, but I have that circlet, which is boosted me.
Boosted you to an average.
Which is
from
supposed to
below.
be an average.
Everyone's gonna play this game the way they want to, but I think if you're playing it for like the numbers and maxing out your numbers and like how can I deal the most damage when you're picking your skills, it's less fun. I like choose the things that draw you to it as a character or personality, or be really weak with powerful magic, or be totally muscle bound like Grog with and be an idiot.
That's why Tiberius is so bumbly and sometimes and really doesn't know shit.
Unless you're super into math, which I'm not.
First time out in the world.
But go math.
Yeah.
Go math.
That's your bag, dude.
Yeah. Cool. So once you have your stats arranged, from that point you can start going to your characters, and we're going to go ahead and just make level 2 characters, relatively simple, for this first game. If you look to where your classes are, it'll have a hit point value as well. You'll be able to roll how many hit points you have. Everyone starts with at level 1 max hit point value, and I think let's see for the rogue we have a D8. So you start at 8 hit points.
Oh boy, I'm gonna roll again.
And you roll 1d8 to add to that for level 2.
Where are you, D8? You may have to explain some of things. Solve this mystery.
Okay. So what is this? What is that number?
2!
2, alright.
A hot 10. Double digits, don't like to brag.
Now, what's your constitution?
I haven't assigned them yet.
Okay.
But, because I wanted to, I know as a dwarf, I get +2 to my constitution.
True,
Correct?
exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you get certain racial stat bonuses
Yeah.
depending on what race you choose.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll do a couple of choosing things, and then I'll have you guys go over and help them with actually building the minutiae of the characters while I go over the Dungeon Master section of this.
Okay.
Cool.
You had to bring race into it.
I do. I know. Cool. So, just get the hit point roll out of the way too for you, Zach.
Cool. So it's
As a warlock, you are rolling a d8 as well.
Okay.
So you start with 8, and then add this to it.
8.
Cool. 16.
Nice. Good roll.
You got a d10.
10, and then I'm gonna add 5.
15 on you. Warlock has the most hit points. Well, we'll see where everyone's constitution lies in a bit. So, stats, 10 is average, and then every 2 above a 10 creates a modifier. So like at 12, that stat has a +1 modifier. At 14, it's a +2. At 16, it's a +3, 18 a +4, and so on. And what that modifier is it's the bonus you get to any ability or attempt you make towards something that falls under that stats category. Like you're trying to break through a door, you'd roll a d20 and add your strength. You know, or if you're trying to, like a lot of the reflex saving or the dexterity saving throws based off your dexterity, you would roll d20 and add what your modifier would be for your dexterity. So those modifiers based on your stat are what affect your d20 rolls for most everything you do in the game. Let's see. So those are the stats. We'll get to skills here in a moment. You guys will go over the specifics of that with them. But everyone should be at a proficiency bonus of +2. You should see at the top left of your sheet, it says proficiency bonus above your stats. Put a +2 in there. Now under each class in your section, it'll have a section for skills. And it'll say which skills you're proficient in under proficiencies. And it'll have you choose a few. What you do is in the character sheet, you have these nice little bubbles here that you get to fill in next to those skills. Those mark which ones you're proficient in. So you can go ahead and choose those and fill them in. Let's see. I think for now, if you guys want to go over and help them get their classes a little underway of getting the minutia of that building process, I'm going to jump into the next section.
Oh,
Cool.
Yes. Oh yeah, let's do this.
All right, so you guys feel free to go over there and help them.
Okay. You're gonna chat while we...
Yep, great. So keep it a little quiet. We're gonna turn those mics down over there. We're gonna keep on mine. I'm gonna go ahead and go over more of the actual dungeon
Who wants
master.
to pick who for their coach?
I need all the help in the world.
Do we have like individual coaches?
Who wants to be really disappointed at the end of the night?
Me.
Okay, help me.
Which one of you is Cassie? What do you do?
Alrighty, so let's move on to the next section here. Welcome to the role of a dungeon master or game master in this. So there are a number of things that you are required to be when it comes to dungeon mastering. Largely, your goal is to be a fair judge. You take all the actions and the activities and the intent and the phrases that the players do, and you judge whether or not it was a good attempt or a bad attempt, and modify a difficulty based on it. Basically, for most things that are actively a challenge in the game, you as the dungeon master decide how difficult it is given the circumstance. If it's a really, really weak door someone's trying to kick through, like the door's been dilapidated and rotting, you might say it's pretty easy, so you give it like a score of 7 to 10 is the difficulty. And then whoever's trying to break it has to roll equal to or higher than that number. If it's an iron reinforced door, that's going to be a much higher number. So a lot of what you're doing is you're judging how difficult a challenge currently is versus what a player is trying to do. The player rolls and adds their modifiers. You decide how difficult it is in the back of your head. You can tell them if you want to, or you can keep it in your head, and then roll off and see if it succeeds or not. And then based on if it succeeds or not, you tell the players what the consequences are of the circumstance. Really low rolls can make for some hilarious botches. Really awesome rolls can make for some great heroic moments. So you want to judge that aspect a lot. That's a lot of what your job is as a dungeon master. You're also to rationalize the world around them. So, if we can keep the volume down just a little bit, guys. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So, rationalizing the world around them. Now, what I say about that is when they encounter NPCs, which is a non-player character, anyone that's not controlled by the players, and they have a conversation, or they do something in front of them, that non-player character is going to have a reaction. So you, as the dungeon master or game master, you decide based on what they've done or what they've said, the personality of the character that you're playing, how they would react to that circumstance, favorably, unfavorably. And so a lot of your experience as dungeon master is rationalizing that relationship back and forth. If they're a really charismatic character that reads the NPC well and kind of sees that maybe they dress well, maybe they like a lot of money, and so they open the conversation about money and how they can be paid, that's going to be a very favorable reaction. So if they're trying to convince the NPC to do something, you might consider a relatively low difficulty. If it's a progressive conversation and the player keeps bungling their words or rolling poorly throughout the conversation, that difficulty might get higher and higher by the end of the conversation for them to finally convince them to do something. So you're constantly gauging how well they're doing in a social encounter versus how easy it is for the NPC to believe what they're saying. Also, you'll find challenges that are conflicting or versus, where the player rolls versus an NPC. An example of that would be someone trying to deceive somebody, to lie to somebody versus their insight. And so what you do is the player, if they're trying to lie to an NPC, they'd go ahead and roll, add their deception skill, and then me as the dungeon master, or you as the dungeon master, would roll a d20, add that NPC's insight skill, and if you haven't decided one, you can make one up on the spot based on how insightful you think that NPC might be, and compare the two. If they lose, they probably believe the player. If they win, they don't, and it's your decision whether or not they want to show that card or go along with it secretly knowing that they're lying and then have that bite them in the ass later on. So you want to be a fair judge and rationalize the world around them and how NPCs react to what they're doing. One of the biggest aspects of being a game master or dungeon master, in my opinion, is understanding that you're here to tell a story and you're here to allow the players to be heroes. The reason you play this game is you want that heroic journey. And there are many people that enjoy games that are very versus, very conflicting, and very like dungeon master versus players, trying to kill them, they're trying to survive. And that's totally fine too. Just make sure up front, you and the players discuss what kind of game you want to play. Nothing's worse than having a player sign on board, make characters, get a few sessions in, and realize that they're now locked into a campaign that is very aggressive and very fight to survive versus what they wanted was a very plain, happy, fantasy experience. So make sure that you're very open with your players at the get-go what kind of campaign you want to run. In my opinion, it's the most fulfilling if it's a collaborative experience where you provide challenges, you provide difficulty, you provide high stakes, and there is that threat of death, but you never want the players to feel like you're working against them. You want to be kind of an impartial judge and be firm but fair. Which is why it's so scary sometimes when they get close to a TPK, because I set it up a certain way, they play it a certain way, and you let the dice fall as it does. Or in some cases it works in their favor, like a long-standing boss fight you prepared a lot that they happen to roll really well on and kill your beholder. Totally fine. Good for them. Who knows what's coming next? So, present challenges, present difficulty, but never really with the intent to make the players feel like they're unfairly being beaten down and you're just trying to kill them off with some power-hungry spree. Because it just generally ends negatively and badly. Also, in that same vein, you want to reward good thinking, guile, and good in-character actions and role-playing, and punish reckless against character behavior. A good example was Pike. As a cleric early in the game, she was, beginning to be a little cruel. And, while she is a war cleric, and combat and battle is not unfamiliar to her, cruelty was. And unnecessary cruelty began to fall into a negative point of favor with her deity, Sarenrae, causing the holy symbol to begin to crack, and we're kind of seeing where that's going to play out down the road. Conversely, if someone does something really cool in character, or something that really kind of changes the dynamic, or has everyone else at the table going like, whoa, that's really great, and maybe you want to reward them with an inspiration dice, which is, if you guys have seen the inspiration mechanics, you can lend inspiration dice to players, which allows them to give a bonus to one of the rolls they make. Our bard, Scanlan, can give those out as an ability, but you as the DM can also give those out if someone does something really cool. And if someone does something really risky, but really crazy dynamic, even if it seems near impossible, let them try. Let the players try things that are crazy. They might have a really low chance of working, and they'll fail spectacularly, and those will still make for great stories and great memories in that game. So, let the players be heroes, present them with challenges, reward them for good in-character decisions, and try and detract them from making out-of-character decisions that take and rob the fun from the other players as well. I mean, everyone can play as they want to, and if you're running an evil campaign or you have an evil character in a game that's like starting to undermine the rest of the party, that can be interesting as long as all the players understand and are down with that type of experience. Once again, that's the conversation you have at the beginning about what everyone's trying to get out of the game. Then another job of the DM, and one of the other larger jobs, is you build the world. You build the world, you help the players tell the story, and you work together to find where the story is going from there. I'll get into more detail for that shortly. But this is your tale. You can either buy an existing module which has a pre-built world and you can customize it however you feel. You can play it stringently as to how the module is built. You can expand upon it, or you can do what I did with this and just build everything from scratch and see where it goes. It's a lot of work, and the DM does have a lot more time they have to put into the game, but it's, in my opinion, one of the more fulfilling experiences you can have as a gamer, because you get to watch all these people play in your sandbox and build their own sandcastles, and it's kind of exciting to watch them flourish in your own creative space. and play off of you. So while I do complain occasionally, I don't get a chance to play too often. The experience I have watching other people, find these moments, it's to me it's fascinating and very rewarding. So I know it's a lot of front loading on this, but just trying to explain to you the gist of this. So as a dungeon master, you want to be a fair judge. You want to rationalize the world around them. You want to try and make sure the players have the opportunity to be heroes and have those heroic moments. Reward them for doing good, cool things. Try and detract them from ruining other people's fun or doing things that are out of character, and build a world for them to play in. So, in these books, in any RPG book, there are many rules about how to do combat, how to do social interactions, and you can read up on that. You can take a look at what's in there and understand. You can play these by the book, completely as they are inside, and it's a great rule system. It works really well. But everything in here, in all these books, are guidelines. Anything can be changed, anything can be altered, anything can be customized to how you want it to be. If you don't like how movement or actions work in the game, you can change it however you see fit. And just notify the players that's the case, of course, otherwise they might feel a little, taken advantage of if they didn't understand the changes you made. But you can change and alter anything you want in the game. It's just guidelines for you to play off of. I know I've homebrewed a few things, and occasionally aspects of being used to Pathfinder bleed over as well. But you just take it as it comes. The bottom line is, as a dungeon master, or as a game master, it's your world, and your word is law. People can't really argue with you unless it's a rules question that you didn't clarify before, in which case you kind of have to go in the favor of the player if it's something you didn't clarify. But for the most part, you play the part of the overall god of this world, and players also have to respect that what you say goes. That's kind of that weird dynamic between the players and the DM. It's a respect mechanic. You don't want the players to lose respect for you, because then they stop, partially enjoying it, but also they start feeling that antagonistic relationship, which can be a little stressful for both points. So customize the rules as you see fit. We homebrewed Percy's Gunslinger class over from Pathfinder, because we just, when we converted over, there was no equivalent, and so we made something up, and we're trying it out. It's work in progress. It's by no means perfect, but it seems to be doing okay, and it keeps it fun for him without completely changing the dynamic of the character he already created. I know they'll probably release a Gunslinger equivalent in the future or something, and it might be vastly different from what he has, but we're going to stick with this because it's what he's used to, and it's what he's built his character's personality and combat around. So yeah, just keep that in mind. The next bit, and this is kind of a big suggestion point for a lot of you guys. A large part of the DM's time is spent world building. I say world building, it's creating all the little details and the aspects of the world you want the players to play in. There are parts of that, like creating a society, building towns and villages, designing dungeons and encounters, and all that crazy stuff all comes together into that world that you're creating. Shh. Thank you. I have to keep everything down a little bit. But you want to start somewhere, and it seems very daunting as a dungeon master, especially a new one, to say, how do I create all this? Where do I start? And that's a difficult question. Sometimes for your first couple games, it doesn't hurt to look at a module. Go out and pick up one of the existing Dungeons & Dragons adventure books that outlines for you how a city would be built, how NPCs would be built, and how they would play out and respond to certain circumstances. It's a good way to train yourself to see how that process would look when it's finished. So if you decide to create your own campaign or customize aspects, you know where to build off of. If you're building your own world, I'd recommend starting with a small society, a small village or a small town. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna build a small town. Where's this town gonna be? What's the topography? You're like, okay, well, it can be like in the middle of a forest village. I mean, more natural-based kind of farmer society, or it can be your archetypical urban environment with a very thriving trade society, a mercantile-run, people. It could be a port town that sees a lot of trade, but also has that kind of travel aspect. It's a mixing pot of cultures. Or it could be just a small farm town that's constantly under siege. But you want to start with some bastion of civilization, some place where the players can meet other characters, find adventure, find quests, and find conflict. So you decide, okay, where do you want this small town to be? As an example, we'll say this is... No, we'll use the first town they started in the campaign, Stillben. Stillben I built as a swamp town. It is a port town, but it's built in this clutch center portion of a large swamp to the far east of that continent. So you're like, okay, it's a swamp town. How big is it? You think about it, like how many people do you think live there? Let's say maybe 600 people. It's not a huge town. It's not very happy living conditions because it's very humid there. The swamp air itself is not very enjoyable to be around, so it doesn't have a huge population. But those that do live there consistently, they make a good living because they can live through this whole horrible living swamp experience and can make use of the trade that comes through. So like, all right, about 600 people or so. Then you start breaking down into what factions there might be in that city. Is there a thieves guild or an element of shadow in the town? Is there a merchant guild? Is there a builders guild? Is there a sailors guild? Think of what type of work would be available in this town. And you start building factions based on that. When you have a faction, then you can start fleshing out NPCs or non-player characters that fit in that faction. Is there a thieves guild? How many people in the thieves guild? Would it have a leader? You don't have to worry about fleshing out every single member of the thieves guild, but consider like 2 or 3 main NPCs that might be part of that thieves guild. So you can say, all right, one of them will be, we'll say a female tiefling who's good with longswords. She's trained into longswords. Like, all right, cool. So you can just write up her name, come up with a random name. You can look up online for random NPC name generators and write down her name. We'll say for this, she's taken her virtue name of Edge. We'll call her Edge. So Edge is a female tiefling leader of the Thieves Guild. Now Edge, what about her, aside from being good with long swords, is a dynamic aspect of her personality? Well, is she ornery? Is she very sly and charismatic? Is she the kind of person that lets everyone else do the dirty work and just stays in the shadows? Or does she like to be kind of the face man of the Thieves Guild? Kind of just decide some sort of a personality aspect to her. If those or many other types, you can go ahead and say, all right, we'll say she's charismatic, as some tieflings get a bonus in charisma. So she likes to be kind of the speaking mouth of the Thieves Guild. So you'll say she's charismatic, she's well-spoken, and she does well in social environments. A few quick notes about her personality, just to remind you later on if she pops up, how she would play out. So she's charismatic. Then you think, and this is one thing that I think every NPC you should write down some aspect of. What do they want, and what do they fear? You can make a shit ton of really simple NPCs with just the information of their name, what race and class they are, what they want, and what they fear. And that's all you really need to branch out any conversation or encounter they go through. So for Edge, what does Edge want? Edge wants respect and money. As the head of the, so respect and money. As the head of the Thieves Guild, those are the 2 things that guide her. Yes. We'll get to that when you finish all the rest of the stuff.
Okay. Oh, we're doing backgrounds now.
Well, you can do backgrounds on your way then. We'll go through it. It's fine.
Yeah, so do it. Do the background.
It's fine. So she wants respect and money. What does she fear? She fears being exposed to the masses for her demonic blood, knowing that this is a suspicious town. You can go that route. Or you could say she fears being discovered by her long-estranged demonic father. Or you could say that she fears being alone, and she surrounds herself by thieves and folk that fear her because it allows herself to feel like she's in control of an aspect of her life. These are all different possible fears you can go with. I'm going to say she fears being found by her demonic father. And so those notes there. Say she's a female tiefling, she's a rogue with long swords, she seeks money and respect, she fears being discovered by her demonic father. These are all you need to now play that character, and you just put those notes aside. And if the players ever find their way in that town, asking around and discovering where a thieves guild might be, or to finding where like they can find a fence to sell stolen goods to, or to find information about the seedy underbelly of the nearby town of Stillben in this swamp, they might find different people willing to give them information depending on how their social roles are. If they're persuading well, or if persuasion doesn't work, you can intimidate the information out of somebody, in which they scare someone enough to eventually give up a name, and they'll say, Edge is the one you want to talk to. When they ask around and start finding more information about Edge, they could decide to infiltrate the Thieves Guild and find her personally. That might be a little aggressive, and you consider if a person breaks into a Thieves Guild, the Thieves Guild will take that as a sign of aggression and will probably meet them with battle. If they instead try and find a member of the Thieves Guild and parlay with them, they could persuade them to speak to Edge on their behalf, in which case they might actually have the opportunity of speaking with her one-to-one in a not quite as aggressive circumstance. It can go any which way, and that's kind of the interesting part of being a Dungeon Master is you never know what the players are going to do. You set up these characters, you set up this world, and you kind of let them play, and all you're doing is reacting to everything they do, rationalizing how the world would react to what they're doing. So let's say the players are like, okay, they asked around, they found somebody who did some work with the Thieves Guild, they intimidated some information out of them about Edge. You then find somebody you think may be associated with the Thieves Guild, and you pay them a lot of money and persuade them to go ahead and speak to Edge on their behalf, asking that she would meet with you at this inn at this time. A party then goes to that inn room and waits for a while. Over a short period of time, it seems like she's not going to show up. Based on how you think she would react to that experience, I'd say she is curious enough that someone sought her out that she would want to hear what they have to say, because there might be money in it. Let's say the party has gained some renown in the local village. Perhaps she wants to align herself with these upcoming adventurers. There's always money to be gained there. So you have her knock on the door. As the party enters the door, there's nobody there. But at that same moment, they hear the sliding of glass, turn around, notice that she slipped in through the back window and is now leaning against the back wall with her arms crossed, waiting expectantly for them to start the conversation, since they so openly sought her existence. So now they're in a conversation with Edge. You can decide how to play their personality. If you want her to be as charismatic as you said before, she would bow deeply. You could say that she was happy to introduce herself, and while hearing some things about the party, she's eager to understand what it is they might have to do with her. Let the party explain now what it is that they want from her. Then you decide, does it fall within the respect and money she wants? She could tell them, I'll help you with this circumstance as long as you pay me this much. Or conversely, I'll help you with this as long as you can talk to so-and-so in the town and get them to drop this bounty on my head. You know, you think of what things would fall into her wants and needs the party could do for her, and in turn could help them. However, if they've talked around the town, they may notice that she has demonic lineage, and they might bring it up in conversation and see her reaction. She might be very good at hiding that aspect. She might be able to, to say, well, yes, I'm a tiefling indeed, but, that is not of my own doing. The players can then go, she seems uncomfortable. I'm going to roll an insight check on this. Then roll an insight check. They roll a d20, adding their insight skill. The DM, then, you privately would go ahead and roll a deception roll, or persuasion roll, depending on what you thought was the circumstance for that, versus their roll, and let them know what they read off of her awkwardness. If they roll really low, you'd be like, she just seems put off by the fact that you've never seen a tiefling. If they roll really well, you could tell them that at the notion of tiefling and demonic blood, she fidgets and looks over her shoulder, seemingly like she's afraid something's following her. Then the party can press her in that regard and begin to say things like, well, if you aren't going to help us, we have a warlock friend who does dealings with the infernal, and we know your name now. If there's someone chasing you, we could call them on you unless you help us. Now it becomes, as opposed to a persuasion, it becomes an intimidation-based experience. And if they can manage to convince her to help out of sheer intimidation and fearing for what she doesn't want to happen, she becomes an ally, although a much more tenuous relationship. So that's an NPC that I just made up right now and fleshed out. But really the basis you need for an NPC to build off any of those circumstances is a name, the race and class, what they want, what they fear. Those are some of the biggest things you need to go anywhere. Everything else can be improvised on the spot. Like I said, it's all reactionary as a DM, which is great because once you set the world, the players drive the story, and you just react off what they're doing and rationalize how the world would react to it. I understand there's a lot of information up front. But I'm trying to get as much information into this talk as I can because we have a limited time. And I've had a lot of questions today I'm trying to get through for you guys. So I hope this has been helpful. We'll get to questions in a second so I can answer things specifically to you. So that's an NPC you can create. You can create the same way for like a local cleric. A barkeep. You could be like his race. He could be a dwarven barkeep. He's not even a fighter, or maybe he once was a fighter, but he gave up the life. He used his winnings in some sort of a brawling ring when he was younger to buy this tavern, and that's all he really does. But he's well connected and has information. What are his wants? He wants money, but he also wants to possibly purchase a tavern across the town that is failing that he thinks could expand his business. What does he fear? Being closed down. Or possibly getting arrested because there's maybe some things he did in his past that are a little shady that he hoped nobody would remember. So now when someone talks about innkeep, there are many different ways they can take that conversation, and many different little ideas you might have as gives as to what they're seeking and what they're afraid of. And those are just cool little notes you make to yourself down the road that if they ever decide to enter that tavern and talk to that NPC, you look down and you immediately know where they stand, what they want, what they don't want, and how they can help or hinder the NPC or these players based on what they do. So that's building a very small town and a small NPC. You flesh out a couple, and then you build off from there. And it takes some time. You know, you can crank out a few NPCs, and you can railroad it as much as you want to. If you don't want to spend a lot of time building a big sandbox game for all your players, you can play a pretty standard, straightforward story. You can decide the players are going to go to this tavern, the players are going to go to this this home here. They're going to go to this one mercantile, this kind of textile warehouse where they're going to find a hidden underground passage that leads to an altar to some forgotten god. In which case you can decide, no matter what happens, you can send the players that let them wander a bit and have fun, but let them know very early in. You hear that there is some shaky business going on in this town. People in the tavern are whispering about these murders that have been happening in the village. You're like, huh. They'll start asking about the murders. And that's when you can point them towards, well, we've only heard, that these people have been being killed, one passing around this part of town, and they arrested one man last week when he was let go from the suspicions, and he lives at this house. Now the players will be like, oh, well, we have to go talk to the guy at that house. You lead them to that house. They go talk to the guy might be like, I don't know what you're talking about. You press him for information, you find out that he used to work for this textile business, and eventually you can either drive that he helped with these murders or that he knows who is, and they work with this mercantile. Then now you send them straight to this warehouse that contains all these cloth and textile woodwork type materials. They might break inside, search the place, find nothing, but if they roll well enough, they'll find the trapdoor that leads down into the altar. So that was an example of a very, very thorough line to a story that you could drive them towards and let them play within that zone. If you have a lot of free time, you could build that. You could build one storyline that deals with one of the local lords that is in danger of having his home completely taken by him because of debt. Or you can do another side story at the same time that has something to do with a local inn that their basement has recently had a sinkhole collapse underneath the bottom of it that opened up a cavern of a bunch of strange mutated rats that are coming out of some terrible smelling cavern. And all these can be just aspects that are in the town at all given points in time the players may find. And you let them discover that. It still takes a little more time to prepare that, but that's up to you as a DM as to how much your free time is and how much you can prepare for. Don't be afraid to, if you don't have a lot of time, to railroad the players a little bit, as long as you make them feel like they're in control of it. And they are in control of it too. And I've had a lot of games where I've prepared a bunch and the players decided to go this way and completely get around everything I prepared, and it turns into this big improvisation experience. And that can be very uncomfortable for a lot of people that aren't experienced in a lot of improv. And that's where preparation comes in and kind of your comfort as a DM. I recommend if you're playing and DMing or GMing a game for the first time, maybe run them through a story that's a little more linear, a little more direct, so you just get more comfortable with the experience, both combat with the players, more experience with how NPCs interact with them and being prepared for those circumstances. Then as you have more experience as a GM or DM, you can begin to be a little more free form with your storytelling setup and letting the players kind of play in that sandbox that is the world you've created. So those are some guidelines for like a small village. The factions are fun to create because you can have factions that are allied, factions that are enemies, and that automatically leads in a really cool idea for some story hooks where you have maybe the Thieves Guild has a huge rivalry with the Mages Academy, One believes that, you know, shadows is a real way to get business done in the local politics, whereas the mages feel that it's more of an arcane understanding that both, you know, socio-political aspects can be controlled by the arcane. Maybe you have one plays against the other, the players can choose a faction to align with, and there's a whole quest line that way. But now they've made enemies with the opposite faction, and now they're having to steer clear of their side. Or they can try and double agent for both, but if that ends up going horribly awry, they now have earned the anger of both sides and might have to flee the town and never return. So these are all different cool ways that you can set up faction versus faction, or faction working together to give the players story and investment in the world that you're creating. Now from that small town, you can build an even larger city. Meaning all those same elements I discussed, you just expand upon them. You build more NPCs, you build an entire district that is shops and stores, maybe even a giant bazaar. You can create a whole district that is just about worship of different gods and deities, and you have different temples assigned to each god, and you can use the gods that are in the book. You can create your own gods that have their own backgrounds and specialties and you know, guiding principles and religions around that. It's up to you. But as you build a larger city, you have to consider how many different people and cultures it's now having to house and facilitate. So it's a little more of a time investment to build a city that much larger. But it's a really cool experience to then have the players wander through that and continue to discover. Like the main city of Iman, which you guys have heard about a little bit of, and I'm sure we'll come back to soon in the campaign. You guys will have the opportunity to see it in person. Is a vast city, much like the classic Baldur's Gate or a Neverwinter. It's the central capital city of this entire region, and they've only maybe experienced a fifth of it after a whole almost entire year of exploring it. So there are a lot of examples of that urban expansion that they can go through. And to be perfectly honest, I've detailed and fleshed out maybe about a third of the village with loose notes for all the rest. So if suddenly one of the players veered right again and decided to go all the way to the far northern slums, which I had nothing really specifically planned for, I can look through my notes and find out a handful of NPCs and some loose story elements that I made notes of about those northern slums, and I can kind of improvise based on those notes and where they want to go in the story to still make it a fleshed out story. And if it's a really heavy story thread that they're following, I can just find a way to tie it back into the original thread I was trying to tell, and not necessarily guide them back on the path, but have it still fold into the same story they've been discovering. You never quite know where they're going to take you, and sometimes the players take you on a ride, and you just kind of have to go with it. You don't want to deny the players too much, because you're all in this for that storytelling experience, and they want to feel like they're guiding their own path. If you force them too hard against their wishes in the game, then it feels more like the DM is playing the game than the players are, and that becomes a very tenuous relationship going forward in a campaign. The cool note is the players never know whether or not you're bullshitting or you had it all planned. So even if you go off the rails, as long as you have some notes or are at least acting like you know what you're talking about, for the most part you'll be fine. I've had whole games that have gone by where I'm by the seat of my pants improvising, and I don't know what's going to happen, and it works out in a really crazy way and finds a whole new story path. And you just don't tell the players that happened. That's a fun little aspect there. So we talked about urban environments, we've talked about cities a bit, which in those cities you want to also be mindful of what ruling class there is. Is it an oligarchy? Is it a lordship? Is it a kingdom? Is there an elected official? Is it a township? And that political structure will also be a very, very good way to build those factions below it as well. So the larger your city is, the more elements of that social structure you have to consider and how many layers there are beneath it. Is it a very wealthy city universally? Is there a very, very high disparity between the upper class and the lower class? These are all really cool ways to flesh it out and give you ideas on where NPCs can be and where tension is in that society. Also, remember, just because you're in a city doesn't mean there aren't dungeons. Castles and keeps have dungeons. Some cities are built on the ruins of older cities that may have underground cavern networks that have been long forgotten, or tombs that haven't been touched in years since a strange wave of necromantic energy began to rise things from the grave and they had to seal it off. but who knows what lurks beneath there. Or, like earlier, that tavern I told you about that had a strange sinkhole. That's a really cool story arc to lead into an underground cavern network to something that may have caused the sinkhole. Something long forgotten beneath that inn that now threatens the inn, or possibly the town its entire self. You know, don't be afraid to have players in a city environment still find creepy, interesting, weird terrain within that same environment. In Iman, the players managed to fall through a cistern into a deep, dark underground cavern network that led them through an ancient ruined city, finding a hag that managed to make a proposition with them. Whereas for information leading them out, she took a bit of Tiberius's luck. He still doesn't know what that means, and it still floats above his head. I think he's forgotten about it, but a portion of his fortune has been stolen by this hag and still resides in that realm. So, urban environments can be urban, but don't be afraid to explore avenues above and below. How we doing? How we doing?
Pretty good.
We cool. We cool. Urban talk.
Cool bit. I'm gonna finish up here real fast with some other ideas. So those are cities. Those are towns. What makes them so special is in the D&D world, and in a lot of RPG worlds, outside of those bastions of civilization is a very dangerous world. And you can change that up however you see fit, but I find that it definitely makes for a better environment if the players understand that in the wild, you find things that are wild. There are creatures that roam free. There are monsters and beasts that call these places home and need to eat and survive. There are intelligent entities that are building their own civilizations in the darkest depths of the mountains or in the shadowed patches of the local forests. And going outside of a town, most like traveling caravans need to have muscled support hired to come along the way. If you travel alone, there's always the possibility of bandits ransacking you on the road, or some sort of large hulking beast come tumbling out of a nearby cavern structure and attacking the people. There's so many different ways that you can incorporate a dangerous wild world around these bastions of society, these little points of light. And that makes the game feel more dangerous. It heightens the stakes for the players whenever they have to travel, and it makes returning to a town that much more of a breath of fresh air. Then consider villains. Villains are NPCs that inherently have very selfish goals that are detrimental to society at large and or the players. Kavarn being the big bad of the recent arc, he is definitively one of the main villains, not the main villain of this arc. You can create villains that are kind of one-offs like this. They eventually found Kavarn and they killed him. You can create villains that are long-standing and recurring. Like earlier in the campaign, the Dread Emperor was always present, but they didn't even manage to find him until the very end, but was a recurring theme throughout to kind of build that tension about that villain. And not all villains get killed. Some villains, when they're damaged, they get the heck out of Dodge and return later, even more prepared and more ready, you know? But sometimes the players will be clever and keep them in there, and don't deny the players if they're really smart and prevent your villain from escaping when he tries to. Because you don't want to, you want to reward the players for being really smart. Remember, good villains are also very smart, and usually have a pretty strong exit strategy if everything goes to shit. So villains are a really cool thing to flesh out their persona and their personality. You can look at a lot of great literary archetypes that can expand on that for you. You consider like the chaotic evil type of villain, which is the Joker from Batman, someone who just like loves the idea of violence and destruction and ruining the world around them for their own personal enjoyment and personal gain. You have the lawful evil villain, more the Darth Vader types that work in a structure of law but use it to their advantage. They twist people's ideals of honor and society and relationships to put them in a position of power in which no one can really contradict what they say goes. And through that, they maintain power and they maintain control over people around them. Then you have just generally evil. You have all sorts of different types of evil archetypes you could play with in there. But have fun fleshing out a villain and having them be as sadistic or as controlling or as charismatic and enjoyable for the players to encounter as much as they hate them. You know, you can have a vast variety from there. But recurring villains are a fun theme and generally up the experience more than just having a big bad every session that they go in and kill, get the loot, and leave. You know, it's fun to have that recurring element. I'm gonna cruise through a couple points here for you guys. So we can start getting to these guys to playing here, or any questions they have for the story. Story hooks. Story hooks are essentially what gets the players to start seeking the story. And there's a lot of great examples in the Dungeon Master's Guide here, if you guys pick up a copy, that explains a lot of different ideals of how you can get the players invested in your story. Let's see if I can find it real fast back here, but essentially a story hook would be when they enter a tavern, they notice that someone in the corner is hunched over and eventually falls forward off their stool. The party goes and inspects and finds out that they've been stabbed and are bleeding out. And their dying words, as they reach out to the player, they whisper a name. Like, oh, shit, that name, what does that mean? And someone in the room's like, that name, that's the name of the leader of this one temple of Pelor, the god of the sun, the god of light. Okay, well, the players now have the idea that someone got murdered and their last words were the name of this person. Let's go find out what their relationship was. That's a story hook. Someone got murdered mysteriously and you only have a name to go off of. That's an example of a cool story hook that the players might be interested in pursuing. Some players might be, fucker died, whatever. And that story hook goes away, but that's up to the players. And that's going to put them in the territory of being a little more neutral to evil than good players. So if they make good characters and they do stuff like that repeatedly, they might start pushing into the evil territory and maybe drawing the ire of other NPCs nearby that are good. If the captain of the guard rushes in and inspects, what happened to this man? And you're like, I don't know, he died. He's like, I don't like the look of these people that don't care about the lives of others. And maybe going forward, whenever they encounter the captain of the guard, he immediately mistrusts the party. And they've already established that relationship negatively. So let's see what some other good examples of story hooks they have here in the book. 71 and 72. See if they got that up. All right, bear with me as I pen through. And there's a lot of great breakdowns for villains and NPCs and stuff in the Player's Handbook, guys. If you're planning to Dungeon Master a game, I highly recommend you read through. It's a really, really great resource. All right, 71. Alrighty. So, there are a bunch of cool dungeon goals and wilderness goals, like foil a villain's evil scheme, destroy a magical threat inside a dungeon, acquire treasure, rescue a captive. These are cool dungeon goals. They have it broken down into wilderness goals as well, like establish trade with a distant town, map a new land, find a natural resource, escape the reign of a tyrant. And you have other cool ideas for goals, defending a location from attackers, retrieving an object from a caravan, infiltrate a fortified location, successfully travel through an obstacle course to gain recognition or reward. These are all very loose, very simple story hooks and goals that you can then weave a story around based on how you built your town and you built your NPCs. So don't be afraid to go ahead and grab a copy of these. This and kind of use this as an example if you're feeling a little lost with your story. You can actually just roll randomly on these things and be like, all right, what are they doing today? Oh, well, looks like they're infiltrating a fortified location. Let me come up with some bullshit that justifies what they're doing. So you can technically DM a game randomly by just rolling off these and improvising from that point forward. That's a little more of an advanced Dungeon Master technique if you really feel like just winging it from there. But that's a really cool resource to have at your disposal. Another thing I wanted to bring up with you guys was encounters. So when you do get into battle, or when players encounter creatures or monsters or villain characters and they want to fight, you then go into an encounter. And you want to consider when you prepare for encounters, you think, where are they? Are they fighting in a dungeon? Are they fighting in a forest? Are they fighting in a swamp? Are they fighting in an open plain? And you go through a book like the Dungeon Master's, or the Monster Manual, and find creatures that you think would live in that type of topography. So if they're in an open field, you can think of more wild beasts, or maybe clans of roaming orcs. If they're in deep, deep mountains, you can find creatures that burrow and naturally live in more earthy-based terrain, and you build encounters around that. There are some really great websites online that have encounter calculators where you can basically tell how difficult an encounter is based on how many players are in the party, what level they are, and you can build the encounter based on that. That way you don't end up accidentally making something that's too difficult or too easy for the party. And you don't want to make everything too hard. Some battles can be fun and easy and really kind of have the players enjoy being badass and rushing into combat and just killing things really easily and being, haha, I ruined everything. That's great. I'm powerful. Then you can have some battles that are pretty, whew, that was close. That was a good fight. And then occasionally you want to throw them a curveball and have something they really have to struggle through. So when they finish that battle, they really have to take a rest and realize we almost lost one or more people in that fight. And that makes the stakes that much higher at that point. But you don't want to constantly be hitting them with super hard battles. You don't want to be making things consistently too easy because it isn't a fun challenge for them. And consider terrain for combat too. Not every battle is just you versus monsters. Sometimes there's a big cliff involved and the battle could be at a distance. Sometimes there's pits of lava in the middle. That becomes a danger or a tool, depending on how you look at it, during the battle. Sometimes, especially in urban combat, you have rooftops and alleyways in which you can use that to your advantage to avoid things or push guys off a roof to fall and get hurt or fall onto things, you know. There can be traps involved that you know are there that you can then push guys into. There's a really cool way of building encounters that are beyond just hitting things and doing damage, which is fine too, don't get me wrong. Also, if there's a monster in the monster manual that you like, you're like, this is a really cool monster, but it's too easy. Like, the players are all level 10 and this is a level 3 monster. You can customize the monster. You can make the monster more powerful, add more hit points, raise the stats a little more, give it a couple of unique attacks that you think would be fitting for it. If you don't like the fact that the bullet only really has like a bite and a stomp attack, maybe you decide that this bullet actually grew up or was raised around some sort of arcane, natural arcane relic that infused it with a resistance to magic and the capability that it has like electrical charges around it. And now whenever anyone starts their turn next to it, they get shocked. It's an electric bullet. That's kind of cool. Why not? You can customize and alter any aspect of any creature in the book. Once again, all guidelines. You can go with the basis here, and it's a lot easier if you don't have a lot of time. But don't be afraid to customize and alter things to fit certain aspects of your world or your story as you see fit. It's great. I had the players in this campaign fight a proto-lich when they were level 3 or 4. Liches will wipe the floor with pretty much anything. But I considered it would be cool to introduce that powerful undead aspect if it was like just barely cresting out of its initial ritual to become a lich, in which case it was in a very weakened state. So if they'd waited a day or two, that lich would have ruined them. It was still a tough battle, but they caught it when it was still kind of essentially birthing, which made it a very, very weak lich. That's not in the books. I just took what was there and scaled it way back, and it made for a really fun encounter. So all guidelines, you can customize as you see fit, and there are great communities online of people that create creatures and beasts and have suggestions or feedback for anything you create. Don't be afraid to reach out there. Once again, I apologize, this is a lot of information up front, but trying to squeeze this in for you. Also, maps. You see in Critical Role, we do combat with maps that we draw up of terrain, and everyone has individual models, and the creatures have models. That is not necessary. I've found it's very helpful for our campaign because we have 8 players, which makes it very difficult for everyone to keep in mind spatial awareness during the battle, who's who and what they're doing and how close monsters are. I grew up playing Dungeons & Dragons and other RPGs without maps or models at all. It was all theater of the mind, all in the brain, which is a lot of fun. But when you get a certain critical mass of players, it becomes unwieldy. So the models became necessary for us. But what we're doing tonight, when we play our game, it's going to be no battlefield, no models. It's all going to be just keeping it in your head and me letting you know what's happening and where you guys are. So don't feel like it's absolutely necessary to do that. I just find it makes it easier when you have more players. And it's fun to draw maps. Sometimes it's a lot of fun to do that. Another question that's come up a lot, experience points. So, monsters that are killed or defeated in battle give you experience points. They don't necessarily have to be killed to get that experience points. If the players still win the encounter, meaning they force them to surrender, or they manage to fight them to the point where they have to retreat, that is still a victory, and the players should still get the experience for that encounter. You may give them a bonus if it's a big boss fight and they killed it and they get to reap the rewards of it. That's cool. That's totally up to you as a DM. But, you know, if they still successfully complete an encounter, they still get the experience. If they flee from an encounter and the players technically lost the battle, you can still give them a little bit of experience that they gain from that, but it would be largely docked by that, and that's totally up to you. So that's combat experience. What about role-playing experience? That's arbitrary based on what you want to do as a DM. You can just write down, well, that's cool, they get 500 experience for that social encounter. You can make it up on the spot, and I recommend keeping an eye on what level the players are and what the experience values are for each level, so you know how much they need to get to the next level. That allows you to kind of build a structure. Now for me, to keep track of role-playing experience, it's an endeavor with 8 players. So what I do is I have what I call a hatch marks system, where whenever anybody does something in the game that is a cool role-playing experience, or they save a circumstance, I'll give them a hatch mark next to their name, or multiple hatch marks if it was really, really clutch and really kind of changed the dynamic of the circumstance and saved their bacon. Or if they failed miserably at something, but they gave it a really, really good try and it was a cool idea, I might still give them a hatch mark or 2 because it was a good shot. And so at the end of each game, I have an equation for myself where I multiply their level by 25. So right now they're all level 10, it would be 250 experience, and I give them that many, I multiply it by the number of hatch marks they get. So if somebody gets 3 hatch marks in a game right now, they would get an additional 750 experience points at the end of that session based on their role-playing experience. So that way I don't have to think too much about the math in the game. I just go, that's cool, hatch mark. That was really cool. Hatch mark, hatch mark, hatch mark. And then at the end of each session, I'll go ahead and multiply the level by 25, and then multiply that by how many hatch marks I've given them, and that's their total role-playing experience. That's worked well for me. It's not for everyone, but I think it's a good way to quickly add up those moments and make sure the players don't feel like you're slowing it down to keep track of who's done cool shit. That's a really condensed overview of dungeon mastering.
An hour later.
They've asked me a lot of questions via Twitter, and that's kind of what I built this up for, so I apologize for you guys. Thank you for being patient. We're going to take a couple questions from the chat room, and then we're going to go ahead and start the game here in about 15-20 minutes or so.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I said, I hope it's a lot of information for you guys, but dungeon mastering, it's a lot of fun. It takes some time. You have to kind of set aside some time. I say generally it takes about an hour of gameplay per hour of preparation. So if it's going to be a 6-hour session, it might take anywhere from 3 to 6 hours to set up for that properly, but it doesn't have to be that long. That's just me being super thorough, which I'm obsessive about. But yeah, be open to improvise, be open to let the players play and let them guide you sometimes in an off direction, and have fun. Let the players be heroes, let them try anything. Just know that if what they're trying is really ridiculous, they have a really, really low chance of succeeding. And most of the time they'll fail, and it's a spectacular failure, and you'll all laugh about it. If they succeed that roll, that is an epic fucking moment that you're all gonna remember, because that player pulled off that, like, you know, third act amazing maneuver that completely changed the dynamic of the story. And that's really what this game's all about. I still remember and tell stories from our campaign like it was something we all personally did and experienced. It's really weird. It's weird. I love it, but it's weird. So I love it. Playing the game is great. Learning the rules is great. Dungeon mastering is a lot of fun. It's scary at first, but I guarantee you with a little bit of time, it's really rewarding, and it's really, really not that hard at all. So yes. Let's answer a few questions in the chat room, guys. We'll see if we can chime in on this. We'll take about 10 minutes of this, and then we'll jump into the game with you folks. Once again, thank you for your patience.
Are we ready?
I'm pretty stoked for the characters.
Yeah, we ready?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Got some good stuff going.
Some very
Got some
good stuff.
going.
Actually, as a note to remind you guys too, one of the cool things about 5th edition, 2 things they did. One, they got rid of a lot of the floating modifiers that previous editions had. Like, you know, Pathfinder was a great system, but I found in battle, especially with a lot of players, you'd be like, all right, so I get +1 to hit and damage from the bless spell, but then the bard gives everyone +2 to hit and damage, or no, it's just hit. No, it's hit and damage. Okay, and then you're given a +1 from that ability, but only within 10 feet
Don't
of them.
forget enhance ability.
Right, enhance
Don't
ability.
forget
All right,
enhance
so it's not a
ability.
+2 from the.
Hey, don't forget.
Okay, so
Hey.
it's a +7 to hit, +9 to damage on that.
Hunter's mark.
Hunter's mark.
Don't forget Hunter's mark.
Oh, we still have that problem. That's Laura.
Yeah.
But that became an issue with a lot of big battles, I found, especially with 8 players. So they've simplified that in this edition. Most modifiers to hit and damage are pretty consistent. You don't have a lot of crazy things. What they do have is advantage and disadvantage. If an experience or a circumstance in the game puts you in an advantageous position, you get to roll 2 d20s and drop the lowest. So you get the higher of the 2 rolls. If you have disadvantage, you have to roll 2d20 and drop the highest, which is rough. So that's a really simplified way of kind of playing spells that give you the advantage or give enemies disadvantage in that circumstance, which is great. Another big thing to consider for 5th edition is, and you guys went over a little bit, backgrounds. Not necessary. Players that are new to the game might find it very interesting, but when you're asked about your character's background and what they've done, where they come from, and how that builds them as a character, you can completely come up with whatever you want to. You can say, they came from this background, they did these things, and this is all in my head and how I plan the character. Some people either are having a little bit of writer's block with their character, or they don't know where to start, or they just don't have a lot of experience. There's a great section in the New Player's Handbook about backgrounds, which you could choose where your character comes from, where they grew up. They could be a folk hero, they can be a charlatan, they can be an acolyte, they can be a soldier from a war-long past, they can be an entertainer, and that gives them bonus proficiencies in their skills that pertain to their background, and it gives you examples of certain personality traits that you can choose or randomly roll from. For example, if you go to the background section of the Player's Handbook over here, you can find, where is it?
Actually, Dan made his character with his background this way, so we can just hear about his background.
All right, so let's go and hear about your background, Dan.
All right.
And he did roll a dice to randomly
I did.
generate it.
I generated it randomly. Look at the appropriate page.
So I'm Salty Pete, the first mate of the Obsidian Helen, a sailor by trade, a scoundrel by nature. The captain gambled with the ship, so I fed him to a long-beaked squid with razor-sharp teeth. Spent times on pontoons, cigarette boats, skiffs, whoring, snoring, and deploring across the land. I'm married to the sea, but my best friend is a hermit crab named Terence. The only leftover I have from the Helen is her flag, which I wear like a cape.
Nice.
I've met many friends over a buttery glass of Chardonnay, sailor's choice. But I've lost many more. If you step to me, you best come correct. I want a quest to regain the Helen. I play for Pink Slips.
Yes!
Looking for clues at the bottom of a glass. Oh, you bet your ass I did. And now I fell in with a fell warlock named the Snugglelord.
That's right. Bravo. And all that was based on randomly generated information in the background section. If you look here,
he clearly fleshed it out,
Fleshed
which
it out.
was incredible.
I added some flesh.
But yes,
but it gives you a great basis to build off of. Like, I assume you were the sailor.
Yeah, I went for the sailor archetype. It's super cool because I really like stuff like that back when I used to do campaigns because it gives you a great basis just for, you know, if you're not sure what you want to do with your character, it gives you good branching off points, and then you can just sort of add meat to that skeleton.
Yep.
Well, it's also one of the questions I hear from like people who haven't played the game before when you first start with character creation is like, well, what are the rules on what I can be? And kind of trying to get them out of that. There are no rules. What do you want to be?
Believe in yourself.
This gives them a little set of rules that they can kind of grasp onto desperately for like their first game.
Some of my favorite. Oh, go ahead.
Well, we'll never forget when I'm eating chicken.
Never forget when that happens.
I'll go first. Some of my favorite characters that I've played with have all been people who decided what they wanted to be first and then picked a race and a class around what they wanted to be. So our good friend Paradox really wanted to be a roadie. He wanted to be a roadie, essentially like a traveling circus, who was like the curtain guy for all these bands. And he made a monk who had these ropes, and he had a whip, and all of his abilities, he would grapple people and tie people up with his ropes. And that was like what he had an idea first and then built the character around it. So because the system is so flexible, it'll allow you to be pretty much anything you want to be.
Yeah.
So I mean, one of the things that like in Pathfinder, there's you can make like a geisha dancer who like did damage with fans. So you can pretty much be whatever and then figure it out.
And if it's not in the books, you can create it. You can build it. We made the gunslinger off Pathfinder here for that. So like, it's totally open, and the backgrounds are a great way. Like they have a whole section for personality traits, and you can roll for a personality trait or multiple. An idea, ideals, so things that really drive your character in their life. Bonds, things that really hold them, via loyalty or to an ideal. Beyond that, and then flaws, which I love. A character like right here, I rolled a 2 as a sailor. I'd say anything to avoid having to do extra work. It's a great flaw for a sailor. Probably not great for his work ethic, but but those are really useful things. So the background is a really cool addition for those who want a jumping point for building their character's personality. All right, let's answer a few questions in the chat while we're going about this.
Manu's asked, how do you handle magical items?
How do you handle magical items?
Very carefully.
Very carefully. The Dungeon Master Guide actually has a really good breakdown in the magical items section about the cost and rarity of magical items. So I'm going to pull it up here real fast. There's common magical items cost between 50 to 100 gold pieces. And it says character level, first or higher. Uncommon, also first or higher, but around 100 to 500 gold pieces. Rare magical items are from 5th level or higher and around 500 to 5,000 gold pieces. Then very rare, and then legendary, which get higher and higher from there. Legendary being 50,000 gold pieces and more. And so that helps you kind of gauge how easy or hard it is for players to find something of that level. And each one of the magical items in the book tells you if it's rare, uncommon, any of those types of circumstances. However, it gives you a range. So you as the GM or DM, you decide, based on how powerful the item is, how much it's worth, if the players wanted to sell it or buy it. And generally you consider if players are selling magical items, they're selling lower than they would buy it from, like any sort of pawn shop type thing. They might get a quarter of what it's worth at a store, but if they're really charismatic and they're really good with their persuasion rolls, they might be able to get more money than that. Or conversely, lower the price of items they want to buy. So you want to make sure you don't want to give out too many items throughout the campaign quickly, because then the players either get too powerful, and then any items you give them down the road seem not as interesting or flippant. I like to run a campaign that has, occasional upgrades. It's a little slow trickle with bursts of good item use. That way, when they do find something truly magical, it's nice, as opposed to, it's another boots. Who wants the boot? That's I already got like 3. You have that. It becomes less interesting and less special to me. So I like to trickle them out, and keeping tabs on what players have, what they're missing, and then eventually kind of incorporate aspects of that they can upgrade their characters with down the road, or they can create them for themselves. There are rules for creating magical items if they have an arcane practice to their class.
We're sponsored by a store in game too.
You are sponsored by Gilmore's Glorious Goods. Those of you who have not been there
Oh
yet.
my god, I forgot we're sponsored by
We are sponsored by Gilmore.
Eventually, you will all have the pleasure to meet Gilmore.
Gilmore, fantastic.
I love
Fantastic
Gilmore.
fella.
He's a little sweet on me.
Fancies.
Gilmore is a fan of
He's a little
Vax.
sweet in general.
Thing for Vax.
NSF Thermont asks, to what degree do you encourage the players to contribute to the world's lore?
All right, so how much do I allow the players to contribute to the lore? For their character backgrounds, I like for them to contribute a lot about where they come from and what their stories are. Everyone's backgrounds you see in the opening videos, they wrote themselves, and then I take those and I incorporate that into the world that I'm creating. And occasionally they'll cross paths with aspects of their personal history, and in the future will as well. Some of them will just be breezing through encounters. Some of them will actually find moments in the story that will directly be part of their personal goals. We shall see. But I like the players to incorporate aspects of their history, but beyond that, I don't want them to flesh out too much of their current or future aspects of the world, because to them that takes out some of the mystery. What I think is great as a player is knowing where you came from and not knowing where you're going. So, like for instance, Tiberius.
A lot of you asked about my mending wheel.
The player part.
Because I've used that a bunch. And the mending wheel is like part of something that Tiberius's personal quest is about, that I wrote and gave to Matthew. It's like, this is...
Like 2 years ago.
It's like over 2 years now. It's been a while. But I said, here, this is what his goals are. This is why he's traveling with this group of people. And that is like, when I found that thing, he doesn't make it, very difficult, but he doesn't make it easy either. Like, when we came across it, there was this NPC, it was this witch, right?
It's a hag. You heard me mention her earlier.
And we had this interaction where it was about something else, our main quest that we were doing, and he said he was describing her place, and he said something wheel, and was listing things. I was like, wait a minute, that's one of my things I think I wrote about him, and I then, as Tiberius was inquired about it, then that became a conversation between me and the NPC, and I had to. Does that apply now? Is that gone?
No, that's not gone.
Oh no.
The piece of fortune you handed over?
I had to negotiate some of my fortune, which I still don't know what that means.
No, that's gonna fuck us so hard one of these days.
But I had to give that to the witch NPC in exchange for the wheel of mending, which is like a very important thing in my quest. So
it's been helpful for everybody.
It's been very helpful.
It's great. It's been great.
One of these days, though, you're gonna get a
really
or you're gonna roll a 20 and something terrible's gonna happen.
But the cool thing is, I didn't describe what the wheel did. I named what they were, and Matthew then decided if it was existed, B, what it did, and what it could have, how it worked and all that stuff. So that's it's
having details, but having the DM giving the DM discretion to decide how it plays out is really awesome.
Yeah, because then I'm surprised, and it's something that I'm expecting to see, and I'm still surprised.
And like for instance, the city you came from, Draconia,
right?
The society. You've given me a lot of information about how you grew up there and kind of how you saw the society, and then you sent me that outline, and now I'm taking what you had come up with, and I'm fleshing it out and building it into the world, and then running with that essentially. So Tiberius's memory serves right to what his experiences was with Draconia. We'll see how that continues going forward when he eventually returns to his people. So
and I did something similar with like my 4 tribes of the Ashari. I've got the fire tribe and the earth tribe and the air tribe and the water tribe. But from Keyless perspective, I'm from the air tribe. I don't really know a whole lot about the other ones. They're there. So I gave him the idea of the tribes and the backstory that they exist, and now he's fleshing it out.
Yeah, and I don't know what the people who came to my parents' castle wanted. They were looking for something, and then I gave him details on what they were doing, but not necessarily what it was all about, because I don't know, but he knows, because he gets to figure that out.
Yeah. It's fun.
Laura and I spent 3 hours in a diner fleshing out our family history.
That's
It
so
was great.
cool.
It was great.
Then you ran into your
That was like
estranged
main-
father and his new family.
that was so great.
Ran into their father was like a big part of one of our main quests. It was insane.
It was very frosty.
Yeah, it was very frosty. Yeah.
Skyfalls 1 asked this specific about Trinket. I'm just going to generalize the question. How do you handle player-controlled allies and their level progression? Are they part of the character who controls that ally, such as Trinket being the bear,
Right.
a familiar or something, or do they have their own independent leveling guide?
For this system, and it's different from system to system. In this system, that companion Trinket is part of the Ranger class, the Beastmaster that Laura went into, and Trinket's progression is tied towards her progression. As her level gets higher, Trinket will have more hit points. Trinket will gain better bonuses to his attacks as her proficiency bonus gets higher. So Trinket will advance pretty much alongside Vex. You're not wearing your shirt.
You need to always just wear that.
See, I'm not the only one.
Gonna get a tattoo.
I'm not the only one.
I'm usually very good about that. It's been a long week. I always say that. But yeah, so player-controlled PCs like that, companions, those are tied to the class. As far as NPCs that I control that aren't part of the party, those I keep tabs on separately entirely. So get a few more questions.
Soft. Is he, if he's armed? Don't. No.
He needs that.
That's
Just some real chill LARPing.
Put it down.
How will he
Put
make
it
himself
down.
happy at night?
Drop
it. Drop
That's
it.
the good hand.
Well, while we're waiting, I'd like to
proficient in the
address
West.
like a couple of things that I've been tweeted at
Dual
about
wielder.
roleplay
Exotic weapon.
and what I think about roleplay and how I'm super hardcore about it. And I always tell people who's kind of like wants like my friends who are like I have no idea what that is, and I was like the best I can explain how I roleplay is as soon as I sit down and as soon as he says the narration and we get into it, I immediately just pretend I'm like 12 years old again. And I'm this guy, I'm this kid, and I have my or 10 or 11, however, I don't know age anymore. 10.
7.
Yeah, where imagination is the strongest, where I put on my sheet and wrap it on, that's my cape, and I have my flashlight, and that's my lightsaber, where the hell, and like, I go outside and I play till my mom comes to, have dinner or whatever, like, and I'm dirty as hell when I come back inside. That's how I think. Everybody's done that. We've all been kids.
Oh, that was like 2 weeks ago for you.
I'm just saying. Also, when I play
I'm wearing my underoos
D&D,
right now.
there's that's where I go. It's just when everybody's not thinking about any kind of thing other than having fun. That's my best advice, to just kind of role play. Just have fun.
But I'll say something that actually came up. I was very, very proud of this. This came up recently in some conversations as we were talking about the nature of playing a game like this and about risk. And as a player, wanting to be adventurous and wanting to like do things that you wouldn't do in real life. And one of the essential things that a good DM that you get to learn with a good DM is the DM is not there to kill you. The DM is there to turn you into a hero.
By the way, I have been playing this wrong
the
whole time.
You play awesome. Shut up.
Because we had this conversation.
He's like, we're gonna die, and like he doesn't want to kill us.
And I literally was like, don't you understand? Mercy's trying to kill us all the time. And he's like, you're wrong. He's like, he wants to make you a hero. I'm like, what? I'm like, that means everything. I've been such a dick. But
You've been hilarious.
Some DMs do want to kill the players.
Some DMs do.
Which is fine. I mentioned earlier, which is fine as long as the DMs and the players agree upon that at the beginning. They're like, this is the relationship. I'm trying to kill you guys. Good luck surviving. Like Tomb of Horrors is a perfect example of Gygax going, fuck all y'all, you're gonna die. That's where that stems from. And for some people, it's a lot of fun. But for this game, death is very real, challenge is there, and I present circumstances that, depending on what you guys do, may or may not end in success or death. But I'm not trying to outwardly kill you.
Yeah.
No, maybe.
Don't try to outwardly kill you.
Spiritually kill you.
Yeah. Just on like inner
Die inside.
Just
want
like
you to die inside.
Obviously, it's had some effect on you.
I mean, yeah, just
it's God. It's scary.
No, it's just like an armored, fucking enchanted horned beholder motherfucker. Yeah, sure. He's not like totally trying to.
We say fear the wrath of God. For
If a giant sky
But still.
god appeared next like tomorrow and just pulled out a d20 and rolled and then looked at you, you'd freak out.
Right.
That's a really scary thing to happen.
But it is a good point where like I should have been like more.
I shouldn't have been so fearful as
Well, it's
I was.
it's a different way of like looking at the situation.
Thinking he's
I know because he gets that look.
I know. It's
God,
That's part of the fun.
the smile is so.
I think
terrifying.
I play I court death on purpose. The way I look at this is either this month or next year. My character is going to die. I know that's going to happen, and I would never grab a rope and jump off the side of a flying device to save my actual sister. Yes, I would.
Yeah, you would.
That's a terrible statement. Yes, I would. But I don't think that I would like leap off of things to my detriment constantly, and like that's how I get to be. This the whole reason we're doing this is because we're 12 and we get to pretend we're the hero. So I'm constantly trying to. I fully expect you to kill me someday.
Yeah. No.
It may happen, and I'm gonna feel horrible.
Yeah, D&D has a lot of life lessons in it. We're all gonna die someday.
No, here's what.
YOLO.
Exactly. 3 ranks in YOLO.
-2 to your efficiency for that.
YOLO. You can be careful. You can be as careful as you want in the game, but you get to a certain point where you have to have those hero moments.
There you go.
Where
There you go.
You take that high risk, high reward line, and it
sounds
makes
like
for
you're being
great
a little
moments,
bit
great
racist.
stories.
I know.
It's
a little racist.
Hold on. Hey, shush. Say that again.
Being careful is great, and working your way through a situation carefully is fantastic, but you reach a certain point in a game where you have to let yourself jump into those high-risk, high-reward circumstances, because not only is that what you don't get to do in your day-to-day life, but those make the best stories, success or failure. There might be serious ramifications for failure, but goddamn if you won't be talking about it for the next 2 to 3 to 10 years for that one time that you did this, and it failed, and your character got smashed in this horrible way, and 2 years after your party would clamor to the gods your lost character's name whenever they charged into battle against a great foe. Like that's the type of storytelling that you don't get unless someone takes a risk like that.
By the way,
If you
when
succeed.
one of us dies, we're all gonna fucking bawl our eyes out.
I know. Oh yeah.
If we all, it's sad.
But like
it's gonna be
Scanlan in the stained glass window will
Again.
live with me forever.
I'm gonna feel really bad laughing from the back of the room when that happens. You'll hear that. This is great.
You're wearing a unicorn suit.
So I'm gonna do 2 more.
2 more questions, all right.
First one, I can't remember who was asking it, but I've seen it a couple times. They're asking about DM player characters. Your opinion on DM PCs.
DM PCs, if they're a very good DM, can be fine. I honestly, the main reason I became a DM was because my first DM had a PC, who then somehow got all the best loot, and was a paladin in 2nd edition, but also somehow had the samurai kit, which I don't know if that could be a paladin. So he was dual wielding magical katanas, and whenever an upgrade came up that he randomly rolled on the table, and went, "Oh, cool, I'm taking that." I'm like, dude, I don't even have a magical weapon. He's like, I'll fight you for it. I'm like, oh, good paladin. Fuck this shit. I make my own game. So,
Fight you for it, bro.
Sorry, Ray. I love you, but that was a terrible game. But you know, so I think if it's a good DM, you can. But the problem is, as a dungeon master, you know behind the scenes. You know where it's going. You know what's coming. You know what you're going to fight. You know what to prepare for. You know what's going to drop. You know so much that having a player character almost defeats the purpose.
Almost completely.
Totally, yeah.
There are circumstances where it might work with certain creative types, but I think it robs you of the fun of actually being a player in the game if you're also the DM.
Well,
Conversely,
you also,
it makes
you
the other
have
players
this handy screen deliberately so we don't see what you're doing.
Conversely, the other players feel removed then because now they have this strange magical god entity that also is fighting alongside them that has the benefit of knowing what's coming.
Sort of a tangent to that question. Yeah. How do you feel about another player playing someone else's character by proxy when that other player's not there?
I think that's totally fine if the players agree upon it. I tend to just NPC players if not there, or try and find a story reason as to why they can't be available so it doesn't rob them of the experience. But that is totally a viable thing as long as the players agree to it. Or if the person was like a real ass last game and they're not there, you're like, you know what, fine, you control the character. See how they like that. Then maybe. But for the most part, if players are okay with that and there's somebody at the table that they trust to understand what the character would do and play them properly, then fuck yeah, go for it. Great.
Matthew, that's why I'm going to be showing up next week.
Okay.
I will be. I'll be here.
I'll roleplay.
There you go. Okay, good.
Pretty cool. So for the last question, I want players on my table to be more, this is Comic Calvin, by the way, I want my table to be more immersed into the story, like instead of saying to me, so I tell them to go west. Are there any tips on stimulating people? This to rephrase it, how do you encourage people to role play more and get into character rather than simply just direct commands at each other?
Right. So to get people to role play, for one thing I want to mention, it's not necessary. If you want that in the game, that's different.
Bullshit.
There it is.
It's a role-playing game. It's in the title. Come on.
Let me clarify.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Some people don't have the comfort level or have the social confidence to be able to jump straight into character. And so for them, it's more comfortable to play it that way, where they can kind of, in essence, remove themselves from the character and control them almost like a video game and say what they're doing as opposed to actually performing and acting it out. And there's nothing wrong with that. If anything, that's almost a baby step version of them eventually becoming comfortable with fully immersing themselves in the character. So I don't think that you should be down on somebody who plays that way necessarily. If you want to immerse them more as a DM, it's an invitation. You mentioned to the players, guys, going forward, I would love for us to be a little more into this circumstance. If you're feeling comfortable, please, feel free to speak in character. Or sometimes, if they're down for it, but they have a hard time committing, put the law down. Anything you say in this game is in character if it's conversational.
Yeah.
To where if they turn to somebody to the side and be like, yeah, but then you stab them in the back. Be like, I'm sorry, what did you say? And you start treating everything as character conversation, then they are put into a circumstance where they have to treat it like that. It may not be comfortable at first, but just like getting into the very, very, very cold water in a pool, at first it sucks, but over time they get used to it and they don't realize that they're there anymore after a while. They get, it just becomes natural. But for you as a dungeon master, you really have to, it's an invitation, a comfortable invitation. Please come with me on this. I'd love to have you be more involved in this. And it's your job as the dungeon master to also bring your NPCs to life in the way you want them to roleplay. And when you ask them a question, don't ask it out to the whole group. Pick somebody in the group that NPC is looking to and go, you, what are you doing in my tavern?
I was just passing by. I thought I could have a drink.
Yet your eyes seem to belie some sort of strange negative connotation. You carry a blade out of its scabbard. What is it you want with my belongings?
Nothing. My father gave it to me. I was just thirsty passing through.
Who's your father?
My father's name was Arthas. He was a potter, and he asked me to come to you and ask for your allegiance to our clan.
That's all you had to say. Come have a seat. We'll discuss this clan's allegiance.
You're a very nice fellow. Can I also have a drink?
For a gold piece you can.
Here's two. I'm rich.
I see you speak tavern well.
So like that's a circumstance where you kind of put them on the spot and they kind of have to react to it. And like I said, it might be weird at first, but they'll eventually get into the deal. That's my suggestion. It might not always work. Some people just aren't comfortable with that, and you have to be okay with it.
You do setting really well too. Like when we would play, the lights go down, the candles come out, the music turns on.
Yeah,
like
that's one thing I do miss about this situation is it's hard to adjust the lighting based on circumstances.
We're working on it, man. All right, we're working on it. We're getting there.
We used to be in a dark, fantastical cave.
Okay, we're working on it.
It's Travis's dining room.
But we put a nice tablecloth on the table.
Can't you also use, like the book talks about, I'm DMing for my 8-year-old son and his kids. I haven't done this yet, but the book talked about, the DM book talks about like rewarding them with inspiration dice. So can't you, like as a carrot, just start, anytime anyone shows just even the barest glimpse of role-playing like that, go boom, inspiration dice to you.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little earlier and I'll expand upon that. Like on top of making sure people get bonuses and little bumps for cool experience moments, if someone does something really cool in character, you as the DM can award them a d6 as an inspiration dice. An inspiration dice, and they can only carry one at any given point in time. But at some point later in the game, if they have to make a d20 roll like an attack or a saving throw or a skill check, they can add the d6 to their final number to give them that extra little hero push towards succeeding at something. And so it's another cool out of kind of carrot on a stick bait to step a little harder into their character and really play out that role. Good point, Jim.
Word.
Capital. So we may have time for one more quick one because there's a lot of questions coming through, and then we'll jump into the game.
I wasn't looking.
It looked like that was about it.
I will say while you're looking for a question.
For both me and Matthew and Marisha, box
when's it going to be another shirt? Are you guys planning on doing another?
We're planning to do more shirts. Geek and Sundry is putting up their actual store soon, and so we're going to be probably selling those through.
I would like to take this time to say that we do have shirts for sale right now that support Geek and Sundry's overall Twitch channel. If you'd like to purchase some, they are the HR Emote Human Resources Stapler for whenever you say something inappropriate, like penis. There you go. You have a shirt for that.
Penis?
Well, I mean,
it's like very
in this context,
that's very
yeah.
Oh, I guess
so. We're playing a board game.
Depending on where you put it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
in
like
the
real
scabbard.
Just like
Anyway.
I saw one quick question that I want to address. Someone asked suggestions on running a complex system for a bunch of new players. Which is a challenge, even sometimes in our game still. But it's one of those circumstances where you have to be patient, and honestly, you can simplify the rules. When I say you can customize anything in this book, you can leave out a lot of the rules and just keep it very simple. If you don't want to have, if you think a movement, an action, and a bonus action is too much, get rid of the bonus action and just consider things, find another way to work it in. Or if you want to keep it a little more free form and just kind of, keep it open to, it puts a little more work on you as the DM to do so, as you have to rationalize what they're doing and make it so it doesn't seem so broken, but you can just minimize a lot of the rules. You can cut out half the skills if you don't think they're necessary. You can get rid of feats, you can get rid of backgrounds, you can have the spell lists if you want. If you want to narrow it down, you can go through and just trim and trim and trim until you think you have a nice, simpler system for everyone to start with, and then you can start rolling out the more expanded aspects of the system. So, and don't feel like you have to verbatim hand everyone this book and be, read it all, learn it all, let's go. You can go ahead and pick the few rules you think are important to play the game, teach them to your group, and then just start with those, and then slowly, as time goes on, let them research and discover more as they go on.
And learn together.
Oh, yeah. What you're saying too. What Matthew, I don't know how to stress. What Matthew allows me to do is for all you casters out there, if the spell isn't in the book, ask your DM if you can craft them. Matthew, if it doesn't exist, he's let me make spells. That's what Glacial Blast is. It doesn't exist here, but I was like, hey, I want to do this thing that isn't scripted here. So you can ask your DM and he can figure it out with you. I of course always give him way too OP stuff. He's like, no, and then he gives me an actual spell.
Everything I build is literally me just handing him a slip of paper, going, huh?
And the players, as they submit custom things, they have to understand that you do your best to balance it, and if they try it out a few times and it's still kind of overbalanced, it might be scaled back a bit because you're still trying to find what works, and you can't really tell how balanced something is until you try it. But that's kind of the relationship you establish with your DM if you want to customize and create things on your own. Is like, can I do this? Sure, but make it like this. Okay, let's try that. Play a few games. Yeah, it's a little powerful. We're gonna scale this back a little bit, and don't be like, come on, you said it was okay. Be like, okay, cool.
Also, I want to. Earlier, we were talking about customizing monsters for encounters. It's either in the DM guide or in the monster manual. There is an algorithm in there to properly scale a monster up and down to fit the needs of the dungeon.
Right.
I don't know where it is in there. So that's a tool that they do allow you to have.
It's in the book. It's not.
It's in the monster manual.
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. I wasn't sure. I remember flipping through it and it was in one of those. But I just want to mention that.
It's in the Facebook terms of service.
I agree.
Exactly.
94 section A-B.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and.
Should we trade places so that some of us are sitting next to them and?
We're not us.
Well, no,
are we spectators?
We're just spectators.
We're spectating for
But I didn't know if you wanted to
We might need the
yellow help.
They don't.
We might need the Olympic scores again.
Phone a
Also
friend.
viable.
Let's ask the audience. Would you use insight?
All right, so let's go ahead and begin. And I'm going to preface this letting you guys know that I have nothing prepared. This is an entirely improvised session. I'm curious to see where it goes. This is a perfect example of flying by the seat of your pants.
It's going just like how you rehearsed.
Whose line is it anyway, Matt?
What?
Line.
Points.
This is a prop-based skill. Carrot Tops Dungeons and Dragons, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh God.
I know.
Wow.
That's all right, so Dan, we saw your wonderful character,
Yes.
your sailor dwarf.
Salty Pete.
Yep, that's right.
Salty Pete.
I'm gonna let him go first.
Okay.
Actually,
What you got?
Alright, this is Open Guard Fire Forge. I'm a cell sword, ex-pit fire, I'm slow to trust and quick to kill. Money talks, bullshit walks. Just so y'all know, I'm in it for the money, and I play a mean flute. It's sharpened at the end, so if you get too close, I might stab you in the neck. But just know I'll do anything for $1. Anything. Anything.
What was your name again?
Can't wait for Zach's
Salty
monologue.
Salty Pete.
I, the great Snugglelord, am a charismatic charlatan from, as a warlock tiefling individual, hailing from the land of simpletons. I became bored with my homeland after impregnating all of the impregnable, and decided to pledge my loyalty to the overlord of a faraway land and set off to do his evil bidding. I'm not really evil though, but Overlord himself asked me to do a lot of very evil things. At least that's what the voices tell me. Along the way, I learned that I was more of a lover, not a fighter. So I lied to these two assholes about the pleasures that await them at the Overlord's chat room. They are dum-dums and fell for it, and now act as my personal bodyguards. Basically, in short, I convince everyone with intimidation and my great charisma, but I'm very broken and weak physically on the inside. Actually, I'm hearing some voices from Overlord right now. I believe we're at 3,162 subscribers in the chat room. I told you the chat room was real. And if the chat room could respond with the keyword Snugglelord, I heard from one of Overlord's minions that the giveaway is not working. And there's nothing that Snugglelord can do about it in his current
So much for your
situation.
prizes.
So we're gonna ask that the great fellow lad Nightbot pull the winner for us for the giveaway.
Yo, I don't know what the hell this dude talking about, but he paying me, so
I brought a lot of money with me on this trip. That's all.
Great. So you promised them what awaits them at the Snugglelord's or the Overlord's?
Basically, the 7 versions of the chat room.
Okay, got you.
Yes.
All right, and so we'll. Okay. All right. So here's how we'll start.
The gears are turning.
Upon your chance meeting one evening in a darkened, drunken tavern in a darkened, drunken state, upon spinning tales of your backgrounds, your ears perked up at the promise of not only great riches, but great, soulful, gratifying, angelic entities promised to you from the realm beyond this overlord. This overlord that keeps a very, very carefully hidden temple of worship, not too far from this city. No more than 2.5 days travel on horseback. You mentioned to them that there is a place, a grand place where this temple could be found, and deep within resided the secret of contacting and being taken into the riches, the eternal vault of what is the Overlord. Upon this agreement, a small bit of change was exchanged. You managed to finagle the local stable out of a couple horses and found your way traveling before daybreak. You ride and ride and ride for the next 2 days. An awkward series of camping circumstances allow you to find you don't have a lot in common based on conversation other than the love of money and the love of this promise they give you. And the further you travel, the more the baneful eye of mistrust begins to fall upon one Snugglelord. As the beads of sweat drip down your face, but you know the city is mounting soon, there will be a time where you can prove to them that in some way, shape, or form they've helped you find what it is you're seeking, and you can possibly kill them before they have the chance to take you out. Nevertheless, as the second sunrise hits, you crest over the last of a large hilly landscape, the high grass brushing past your boots as you push through these grasslands, and you see upon the fabled city of Rokhmar. Rokhmar, not really that fabled, it's a small farming village, but he seems to be talking it up as this grand city. So there's a moment of disappointment as you look over and see what may be anywhere from 60 to 70 houses to hovels to a slightly dilapidated farmland. A bit of confusion hits you, and you look over to your great Snugglelord as he puts his hands up and...
Yeah, it was over the voices.
Well, funny.
I mistranslate them sometimes.
You mistranslate. There's 60 fucking hovels!
600, like one...
You dropped the zero.
Well, it's an accident.
Great.
It won't happen again. Look, you're a great dude. I like you, dude. I get along. Like, you're great.
Hands
you're
off the cake.
Okay.
You'll smudge it.
I feel like we're guests on a Japanese TV.
I'll kill him right now. Okay. Hey, you pay me right now, he is dead.
Whoa.
I kill you right now. I told you.
Whoa, guys.
I kill him. I kill anybody for some money. Right?
No, I play for Pink Slip. This is a bit I'm
Yo,
willing
how
to
much
pay.
money you got right now?
Let's find this overlord.
Did I
stash.
really have to pick the two dumbest assholes to be in my group? I mean, really.
I'm getting so tired of this outer monologue. Let's find this. It's going to be in one of these 60 hovels. Let's find it.
All right, let's do it. What are we looking for again?
Excuse me. You're the one who's supposed to know. We're looking for your mythical chat room, whatever that means. As far as I know, it said something about virgins, about riches, about ladies.
And see, that's all I care about.
I'm looking for Helen, who's a ship. It's more of a metaphorical lady, but I'll take any port in a storm.
Hey, for real though, you give me that boat, I'll kill him right now. You give me that boat, I'll kill him right now.
Oh, we'll talk.
Kill him down. All right. I like boats, man. Shit.
As the tides of character relationships quickly seem to turn as you head towards the town of Ruka, you notice, and you've traveled here once before, while you understand that secretly, beneath where this hidden chat room is really a cache of money that your previous employer hid amongst other riches, and probably murdered most of your other allies before he managed to escape from his clutches, and probably the only person of your band of roving thieves and miscreants to not fall to the Shattered Blade. You know that his riches are held there, and you know that there are a number of traps set within this dark underpassing, and you know that once you can just get there safely, you can probably make it out alone. And so just hold tight to your position and this should be fine. As you ride up to the outskirts of town, you can't help but notice that, strangely, what was once a bustling farming town seems fairly empty. The nearby grass seems to have turned from a brightish, healthy green to a dull, crackled brown gray. The farms themselves, the lands have turned dark and cracked. The landscape appears to have been untended to for many a month. And aside from a couple of scratching sounds and the distant cawing of crows overhead as they flutter off into the distance, there doesn't seem to be much of a sign of life in this village.
The music changed. I heard it. Careful. Yeah, it's a clue.
As you begin to step into the village proper, there is a small thoroughfare that leads from the main area towards the center part of town. As you ride in slowly, the clomping of your horses hitting against the rock and dried dirt beneath your feet, you catch what looks to be a handful of individuals gathered towards the center of town. Maybe no more than 150 feet away, you see 4 figures, all different heights, dressed in ragged rags and clothes that seem to have been met with some sort of hardship and long nights without any sort of cleaning agent. They gather around in a circle over what looks to be a well.
Hello there! What are you looking at in that there well?
You see, as soon as you say that loudly, the heads suddenly spin to you.
Creepy.
Look amongst themselves, and they all begin to scatter away from the well.
Can I give him some money to like go check see what's in that well?
Yeah. You can give me money to do anything.
Here's some shillings. They're dude.
Hey,
it's a local currency.
Okay. Alright, man. I mean, really, you just wasted your money because I was going to check to see if there was money in this well anyway. So, let me walk over. Let me look down here. What's in here right now?
So as you approach, the figures have scattered off into what looks like 2 different alleyways on the opposite side of this small thoroughfare. You glance over the edge, and the first thing that catches you is this very, very acidic smell, this pungence that hits your nostrils that seems to, it's like long rotting citrus combined with almost an iron-like scent. You glance over, and currently you can only see maybe a few feet into the darkened well. It's too dark for you to see anything beneath. However, as you are a dwarf, you have dark vision, and in the low light circumstance from the noonday sun, you're able to look down and see that the brackish liquid, what would be a normal watery well, instead is very thick and viscous in the way it slowly moves. And from what you can gather, the water is disturbed, or recently has been disturbed.
Any, that's good. Are there any like shiny trinkles there? Like there might be some coins sitting at the bottom.
Anything glittering through the thickness.
I think there might be coins in there if you want to jump in and see what it is at the bottom.
So go roll d20, add your perception skill.
What's my perception? Get +2. 19.
19.
Nice.
He's hoping it's.
You take a moment and you curl your fingers around the outside of the stone well. You place your head down, and while the scent is not pleasant, the need for gold is stronger. And with a little bit of light trickles through, you can see what looks to be a semblance of a step or something within the well that catches your eye. And indeed, you see a handful of gold coins. I don't know how long they've been there, tossed in either by as a wishing well or something more, but there are apparently some coins within the liquid.
Alright, I learned a few years ago you just can't be sticking your hand in any kind of water. You know, your hand might get bitten up. Maybe I might throw a piece of rope in there, see if it disintegrates. If not, that gold's mine. I saw it first. You will die if you touch it.
The old rope test. Classic.
Yep. See, my man.
Nature's litmus.
My man Sam over here know about that rope test. Yeah, I throw a rope in there.
Who's Sam?
That's my man Money Sam over there.
It's Salty Pete, but Sam's me nickname.
So as you go through your pouch, you pull out a small wrapping of natural hemp rope. You begin to lower it into the liquid. As it hits the surface, there's no hissing sound or immediate reaction, it seems. You just kind of lower the rope a few feet in, let it sit for a second. As you pull it up, you notice the rope itself has a very black color to it. And as you pull it up, you can see there is a very, very slight dissolving reaction on the rope itself.
Damn. Can't get my money.
You might be able to jump in, get a handful, and we'll pull you up, and you could survive that, maybe.
I mean, it's hemp rope. Your hand is stronger.
Yeah, I mean, you're a big dude.
Usually when two people are trying to convince me to do something and they not trying to do it, that means I shouldn't do it. So I'm going to just sit here and we're going to talk about this water, how we going to get inside it and get that money.
All right.
Well, you're the seafarer with water. What do you do with that?
I know a brackish liquid when I see it. This is nothing I've seen before. No molasses, no swamp water. This is nothing the like I've seen before. But I never back down from a challenge. With a quickness, I thrust my hand in there to grab the coins.
All right. They're about 7 or so feet below from the top of the well.
Oh,
so you're probably, as a dwarf, you're probably gonna need some help.
I need a little help there, little buddy.
Yo, it's all right. I'm highly acrobatic.
Yo, man, you being funny with my money, man. You got me excited thinking you about to grab that money. You got nowhere near, man. You got nowhere near my money.
I forgot me stumpy arms.
With the aid of someone else, you can probably get in there if you want, or you
Would
can
you be so kind as to dangle me?
Oh yeah, you know I'll dangle you.
It's a dwarf thing.
So as Ulfgar grabs you by the ankles and slams you over the front of the well, you dangle down, your fingers just reaching in towards the liquid. You grab at the coins. It's very, very cold, the liquid. But it warms quickly as the strange tingling sensation begins to rapidly encase your hand as the feeling begins to go numb. Your hand gathers a handful of coin, and I want you to go ahead and make an athletics check.
All right.
Don't fuck this up.
It hit the pencil, dude.
Fucked it up.
Hit the pencil, messed up. 14.
14, okay. So, you feel the sweat beginning to pour down the side of your head, your muscles are tense, but as soon as you see that gold vanish from beneath the liquid, you know it's in the proper hands. You pull them up out of the well without much issue. You come up to the surface, hand clutching the gold in hand. As you open your fingers, you look and see, indeed, the coins are as clean as the day they were. Almost like just being in that well took any sort of tarnishing material off of the coin itself. Also looking down, you notice that your hand has gone from numb to burning.
Oh no!
Hey, give me my money! Oh, give my money first! Oh, take the money out of his hand, put it in my sack. He's on the ground. Throw some dirt on it. Throw some dirt. I kick some dirt all on your hand.
You take 2 points of acid damage as the corrosive liquid eventually subsides the horrible corroding of your hand, but not without its impact.
Alright, thank you for helping me out. I throw you a gold piece.
Oh, thanks for the tip.
Yeah, you know.
I'm sitting on my horse laughing my ass off. This is hilarious. I'm so glad now that I teamed up with these dum-dums because this is going to provide me with so much entertainment on my trip.
You know we can hear you, right? You're saying it loud. We know what you're saying.
We speak common.
Yeah, hey, how about you? What would it take to pick up this Snugglelord and dip his head, just the tip of his head?
What about the gold piece you just gave me?
Yeah, just dip his head in just a little bit.
Listen, I want to find this chat room. Let's find where those scampering scams got off to.
All right, but after this, I'm dipping your head in the juice, man.
All right, so glancing over, I want you all three of you to go ahead and make a perception check.
Okay, so what do I roll?
Roll a d20, which is the most round of the dice, and add your perception skill to the number you roll.
14.
15.
16.
We are not clever.
15, 16. All right, so you've been at sea for a long time. The salty air seems to have taken its toll, and your eyes are still a bit fuzzy. As you take to rubbing to them to try and get a proper view, the two of you immediately see that in one of the nearby buildings, a door is slightly ajar, and the moment that your heads turn toward it, the door shuts almost reactively.
Weird.
I say we go check that out.
Did you see something?
Yeah, a door shut and it smelled like some money.
Oh, great.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Let's find it.
As you approach the door, you go and reach for the knob. As you give it a turn and a tense push, the door is not opening. It looks like the knob itself is either locked or being held, and the door is held in place.
Well, it looks like somebody might be trapped in. Let's bust down this door, man.
Oh, I can pick the lock.
Yeah, all right.
Your choice.
All right,
I don't want to take this experience from you.
I think I'm going to try and bust down this door first.
Oh, have at it.
All right.
Lean in with your shoulder.
All right.
Go ahead and make a strength check. So just roll a d20, add your strength modifier.
Did you pull something?
8.
Uh-oh. You get a nice running start. Foot goes right into the door. Poof! It solidly hits you and sends you falling right back onto your ass, nearly knocking the wind out of you.
Here, go ahead and pick that lock for me.
This must be a powerful door.
Strong, reinforced wood and iron.
All right. I'll let Mrs. Buttersworth and the lefty try this one. I'm going to take my thieves' tools out and try to pick the lock.
All right, so you got to roll d20 and then add your dexterity plus thieves.
Okay. 1.
As you step
This
over,
is gonna be the worst boss
pushing,
of the entire game.
pushing your dwarven ally aside, you pull back your sleeves, pull out your fine masterwork thieves' tools, and jostle for a moment, and you hear that wonderful sound, that click, which displays the unlocking mechanism. As you pull back, you realize that wasn't the mechanism, that was the end of your lockpick breaking in the lock.
Oh, Christ.
How you dum-dums doing down there?
Great. It's a powerful portal.
Oh, man.
I didn't think it can be traversed. We should go around to the back, find a window.
Oh, no, I'm going to deal with this house real quick. Let me deal with this house.
Can I grant you a synergy bonus, whatever that is?
I'm going to see if there's something in my dungeoneering pack that can light this house on fire.
Classic, we'll smoke them out.
I actually think that's a really good idea. Let's burn it.
All right,
Let's burn it.
Oh, just check it out. Wait till I look in my dungeoneer pack, see what's up in here.
As he's looking through his pack, you, Snugglelord, know that you, as a fiend-packed warlock, have the ability of using a cantrip called thaumaturgy.
That's what I was looking for.
That allows you to do all kinds of slightly things, but especially you can create fire pretty much like within torchlight or a small handful of fire on command. So he's looking through his pack.
I'm gonna let him keep looking for a little bit longer because it humors me.
Fair enough.
Did you find anything there, little buddy?
Yeah, I got a tinderbox in here.
Swipe left.
As before he can finish his sentence, I cast the fire onto the house. That's how you do it. I don't know.
Are you serious? You could do that all along.
While sitting on my horse and smirking and smugly.
With a flick of his wrist, a spark emerges from his fingertips, and a burst of flame collides with the upper echelon of the upper portion of the rooftop. The thatched, dried out thatched roof begins to immediately burn brighter and wider until about half the roof itself has caught flame. Part of the wood surrounding the upper beams of the front panel of where the doors part also begin to catch, and you start hearing some subtle coughing on the interior of the building.
Gotcha!
Alright. Yeah, so now we going, I'm gonna go punch his horse in the face, and then we'll wait by there.
Classic Dwarven maneuver. No one expects
So
a
yeah,
horse
I'll go
punch.
ahead and punch his horse right in the face as he laughs.
Go ahead and roll a d20, add your attack bonus.
Goodness gracious.
Your strength and your proficiency.
So that'll be 11.
11. Horse is pretty easy to hit at that point. Go ahead and roll a d4, add your strength modifier.
Alright, D4.
Instantly decapitated.
4 plus my was it my strength?
Your strength modifier, yeah.
So that's 7.
7. Wham! Make sure you socks your horse across the face as you're laughing, mid-laugh. The laugh is pulled from your ears. You go, as your horse falls immediately over onto its side, sending you tumbling from the horse. 5 feet from it, on your side, face in the dirt, coughing for a moment as your dwarven friend rips his hands off guard, kind of chuckles over you.
Poor horse. Has the fire weakened the structure enough for us to basically jump into the building?
You
into the inferno.
I have fire. I have a fire resistance spell.
That's true. All right. So looking at it, you can see the flames starting to get, and you can notice the door is trying to be opened, but whatever lock mechanism has been jammed.
Sorry, that's a whammy.
Pretty sure this is about to be manslaughter.
From the opposite side of the door.
I'm gonna go over there and try and help this dude out. So, because he'll think I'm the hero in there.
Yeah, thanks for punching my horse, dickhead.
Like, it's all about perspective.
I had a plan.
Oh, you should have seen your face. He's gonna punch me. Oh, it's my horse.
Yeah, yeah. Look at your horse laying there like a
you punched a horse.
Yeah,
what is wrong with you?
Nothing.
He went from block to the secretariat right
Not a
quick.
damn thing is wrong with me. Now let me help this dude out this house that I lit on fire.
I lit on fire. You couldn't do shit.
Whatever. I'm gonna help him out this house real quick.
It's a strong door.
Make a strength check again.
Oh, burn the people in their homes. Classic dwarf move.
That is 6.
As you go charging head first this time, there's the door to headbutt through. Poof, a second time you land on your back. However, whatever the impact you did managed to jostle free, whatever part of your lock stuck into the door suddenly swings open, smoke billows out into the midday sun, and you see a cloaked individual, probably about a little bit shorter than you in height, comes rushing out, coughing outward, just trying to get a breath of fresh air.
Yo!
Are you okay? I saved you.
Who set your house on fire, man? Oh, shit!
Oh.
Yo, your house got set on fire.
Is that door made of mithril?
You looked really weird. Why couldn't you just say hello? You looked weird. I thought there was something. We tried to get in. We couldn't.
Go ahead and make
you
a
looked
deception
weird.
check.
Deception check.
Oh, of course, now I do good. I roll 19.
A 19. Okay, the individual pulls back the hood, and what you can see, it was kind of ragged gray, essentially a cloak that was placed over with them. You can see their pants are kind of torn, and when the face is revealed, it's an extremely malnourished female halfling. She looks like she's seen some rough days. She could probably pass for, mid-20s or so, but due to her current state of health, she looks much, much older.
I feel like a real dickhead.
She finishes coughing. She goes,
Thank you for saving me. I appreciate the assist.
Well, to be fair, I mean, he did fall on his ass twice, and he punched a horse.
Yeah. Well, that horse is just collateral.
This is all
damage,
conjecture
man.
and hearsay.
The horse, actually, I'm gonna give you the full story. The horse was blocking my way to help you out this house. This ugly ass horse, all in my way. Anyway,
is there a way I convince her that I'm the only person here she should trust?
Right, would tell her.
I'm like, look here, little girl. Like, these guys are idiots. You don't want to talk to them. Just talk to me. Like, look me in the eyes. Talk to me. Let's talk this through. Like, what's going on? What's up with you? What's
trust the guy who looks like Lord Hades himself.
Persuasion.
And this guy over here.
Add persuasion.
Come on, tiefling.
Okay, so what? Okay, now how do I add these numbers together?
What is it? Persuasion.
Persuasion.
It's high. It's high.
So plus 4.
So
21.
Okay, she glances at the other two dwarves who are both gonna. By just general stature and nature, two rather ragged-looking, swarthy gentlemen, looks to you with your immediately dangerous-looking tiefling face. But there's something about your voice and the way you spoke to her that is strangely welcoming, especially in the chaos of this house nearly burning down around her. She reaches out and kind of touches your hand gently and goes, "Thank you, certainly. We've been lost in this region for over a month now. We were looking for food. We're not from here, but when we came to this village, it was empty. Everyone was gone. No bodies, no one killed, just missing. Just vanished. But it seems the further we get from this place, there's something that draws us back to it. We get thirsty. We get hungry. Like there's a curse to it that won't let us leave. And it's
Oh, well, homie, that's just you, that was the rapture from the Lord Bahamut, just raising up all his dragonling followers and all that such and things.
Again, he is not to be trusted. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
What? Tell me, where are they drawn back to specifically?
Well,
it's hard to say. We're continuously brought towards the center of this village, and there's a large platform where it looks like there used to be more of a presentory stage where a small events or at least townships would discuss. But right now there's something that keeps calling us back to that place. We've set up tents there to survive in the meantime. We don't trust the buildings abound. I can show you.
That would be great.
Yo.
I'll pretend to be your friend until we get there.
Why would you say
Why are you saying that outside? Why did you see this?
Are you fucking serious?
Hey, man.
Show some discretion.
God, you really want a friend, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, it's fine.
How does this work every time?
I don't know, man. I think it's the demon horns using demon powers and stuff. I need to go to church on Sunday.
Come follow me. And she kind of turns around, she puts her hood up, and she darts down the alleyway to the right of the burning building, keeping away from the flames that are now beginning to completely envelop the structure.
Oh, excuse me.
Sorry about that, buddy.
Yeah,
that was
no,
an accident.
An accident by nature. Nature's
Why
accident.
Why you keep bringing this up when nothing happened, man?
Yeah.
Anyway, did you have any gold in that house? Like, is there any money in that house?
We're going on to bigger and better things. Don't worry about
Yo,
the
if
house.
there's gold in that house, y'all can keep walking. I'm gonna go get that hot gold, man.
Keep your eye on the prize, man.
Yeah, we gotta look at this juice anyway. Tell her to take us to the juice.
We're going to the tent.
Oh, alright.
Juice is a common dwarven term for tents. It's slang.
As you keep walking along, she's darting ahead, keeping an eye out. She turns around and goes, "But by the way, Lily."
Oh, you have a name.
Or a favorite flower.
One or the other. Name?
That's my name.
What's up? I'm off guard. I'm a sellsword, ex-pit fighter. Put your money where your mouth is. Slow to trust, quick to kill. Money talks, bullshit walks. And I extend my hand out for some dwarf dap.
She reaches out and pats the top.
Classic halfling. They always mess it up.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
I'm Salty Pete, but some call me Sam.
Alright, Sam.
You can call me Salty.
Salty it is, alright.
I get the idea that you probably are without a father figure.
From
the look in your eye. You can call me Dad if you want.
Yo, you get creepy, man.
Oh, I'm Snugglelord. That's fine. I'm sure he's a great guy.
Oh, close one.
As she continues now with an awkward side glance.
Can't children, you know this.
I'm so sorry.
I got it all out. Like, there's nothing left.
As the alley opens up into this central essentially a small square to this village. You can see what she was talking about. There's an elevated wooden platform, although it is partially collapsed in the center. It looks like either something heavy was laid on top of it and it eventually gave way, or something heavy smashed it from up top. And around the outskirts of this, you see what look about 6 or 7 tents in kind of a very small ramshackle tent city. They've been made from scraps of cloth that have seemed to have been scavenged from nearby houses or storage facilities. But as you approach, she gives out a voice, Sterling, we have guests, please! At which point, one of the tents open up and you see what looks like an elderly woman, human-ish, from what you can see from the distance, looks out and goes, oh, is that right? Are they here to help? And she's, I think so, and she rushes up and helps the old woman out of her tent.
Yes, we're here to help!
At which point, a secondary tent opens next to that, and a large burly halfling steps out, older, looks to be kind of the one temporarily in command of this small group of people, steps out.
So you're here to help, you say?
Yeah! Aye, mister. We're here to help.
Yeah, if you got the money to pay, you know what I'm saying? Big money. Hey, so I'm gonna let you know. I'm a sellsword and a pit fighter, slow to trust, quick to kill, money talks, bullshit walks. Let's kill somebody.
We've got to get you a fucking business card.
Really, dude. I love that Dwarven dialect.
The gentleman kind of steps forward and looks at the three of you. He sort of just stares at you. As you're waiting, the the young halfling girl, Lily, comes up and pats you on the hand again, kind of alleviating the tension.
Oh, too slow.
The man takes a step forward. This time you can see definitely posturing a presence of masculinity and control of the situation. Looks about the three of you and goes,
all right. So if you're here to help, show me what weapons you've got.
Oh, my favorite part.
Show me mine, I'll show you yours. Or vice versa. Sorry, the salt ass addles me brain.
Idiots! Alright, so I pull out my 2 long swords. So, you know, I got 2 long swords. I use them at the same time. I like to call this one Regina and this one Linda. You get it? Right, left. I'm hilarious. And then I got this crossbow right here. I use it with one hand. It'll bust somebody in the face. Any questions?
No, I have no questions. That's very nice.
I didn't know their names. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Just after right and left, no.
Nah, yeah, I like making jokes up. It's good to pass the time when you're cleaning your weapons.
I've got several blades, a short bow, and my trusty cape, which can come in handy in case of emergency.
I merely have this little axe. It's no big deal. It's not really a big deal. And a crossbow. I'm not really that good in a fight.
All right.
These guys, though, they're great. You can use them for whatever you want.
We're sick.
Then you're the leader.
Yes.
He's the employer.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, if you
Same difference.
Here's what you need to know. We've been stuck in this place for at least 2 weeks now. We're withering away out here. Little to eat. No wage coming. Whatever darkness has taken root in this small town, I've come to believe has infiltrated the water, has infiltrated the ground beneath us, the very earth itself. As far as I can tell, each night when we sleep, the dreams, the nightmares get worse and worse. I dare say if this continues for long, I'm liable to lose my own sanity, and I want to keep my daughter safe from me. So, all the cash I have, not more than a simple 120 gold, will be to you to distribute as you see fit. Turn that down.
As the elderly woman goes, I'm sorry, and she puts her small violin away that she's playing as her mind slips.
I was really enjoying the music. It's quite fine.
No, yeah, you speaking my language right now, and I'm ready to do anything.
Well, let's hear.
I'd say you're right about the water.
The water is strange.
First off, it's the juice. Obviously, they drinking the juice. They ain't got no other kind of water. The juice making you crazy. So we need to go up there and maybe you can use some arcana and look at that juice in there and see what's up with it. And we can get this money.
I think we should check the area around the stage and see if there's an opening or somewhere that we can get beneath.
Yeah, let's try that.
Yeah, but if
I'm also a little concerned about your hand.
It's fine.
You're not like.
Listen,
getting any
I'm
weird
sorry I don't
thoughts?
exfoliate like you tieflings do.
I'm just, like no weird things going on up there. Like,
No, just the thought of getting me shit back.
Okay, all right,
and me
we're
shit
good.
together.
We're good. No, we're cool. We're cool.
Yo, so do you want your shit back or your shit back? That accent funny as fuck.
Oh yeah, my accent.
Yeah,
Dwarves, am I right?
Yeah, I'm telling you. You gotta come up to the mountain with us mountain dwarves.
We hill folk are a different breed.
Yeah, man. This is the mountain dwarves. We keep it real.
Terribly sorry. They're like this all the time. I swear their muscle goes a lot farther than their brains do, though.
Best be for the coin I'm paying for this, but we'll see if you can prove your worth. Follow me. It leads you over towards the central stage in the middle of this open area. You can see now, the stage, upon closer inspection, it hasn't collapsed. It hasn't been smashed. It looks like the central area beneath it's been pulled down. There is an actual, what looks like a small, almost like the top of an anthill. Like it's slowly sinking into what appears to be some sort of a funnel that disappears beneath the surface of the earth.
Well, that looks unsettling at best.
A little scary. Just throw your other hand down there and see what happens to it.
I'm going to try a different tact. I'd like to gaze into the abyss with me dark vision.
All right. So you have to kind of step underneath the large wooden platform, kind of move through the broken portion of it. You can see where elements of it are jammed in this kind of gravelly sand texture that formulates this small funnel. It's roughly about 12 to 15 feet across, and part of it does spill out into the opposite side of this open area. As you kind of glance towards the edge, you feel the sand kind of give a little bit under your foot. Go ahead and make a dexterity check.
Oh, thank God.
Dexterity saving throw.
So that would just be...
the saving throw, which should be at the top of the stats.
A hot 9.
As you look over and step, you find the sand begin to slip from underneath you. You reach up to try and grab one of the wooden platforms to keep yourself stable. However, your other foot that you had your weight on also slips as the sand dirt seems to give from you entirely. As you hit your side, you feel it actually beginning to cave inward and pull you deeper into this small recess of the ground. You're now up to your waist, being pulled underneath the surface. You guys watch him being sucked in.
A little help!
Grab him!
Damn!
Get in there! I'll grab him! I'll grab him! I'll grab you! I'll grab
That's in there! That's deep!
Jump! I'll grab your feet!
I'm much stronger than me! Jump! I'm jumping inside! I'm jumping inside! Come on, follow me!
All right!
As you leap, which at this point you're just past your face and nose under the sand, you leap onto and grabbing onto the sides of his head just as it goes past his eyes. As you grab it, you now plant your feet to pull, what you're used to when you get a nice firm foothold and pull. There's no firm foothold. Your feet go into the sand and you just continue going underneath with him until eventually you yourself are completely submerged and disappear beneath the surface of this. Now leaving you alone staring at this now slowly stopping funnel of cascading sand.
Oh, shit!
What? Well, fuck it, I'm going to jump in after them. No, this is stupid. This is stupid. Yeah, I'm gonna jump in after them.
All right, you run and you leap, and with a impact sound, your tiefling self dips and immediately disappears beneath the surface. There's a few moments of very scary breathlessness as all of a sudden suffocation hits each of you. The darkness, you're unable to see, you're unable to move, and there's just this constraint of earth pressing around you, and for a good 5 to 10 seconds, you begin to come to terms with your mortality, as if this is your final moments on this plane.
Well, this sucks so far.
Then, you feel this strange lightning sensation in your feet, almost like the pressure is beginning to alleviate, and with that, you now fall. You're falling in darkness.
No!
Oh, God, no! I'm gonna die! I use my dark vision to kind of see what's below me.
Fortunately, there is no light source down here at all, so you don't even have dim light to work off of. It's pure darkness. However, I want you all to make an acrobatics check with disadvantage.
How do I echolocate?
So roll 2d20 and drop the highest.
Wait, what?
Roll 2.
Roll twice and use the lowest one.
I rolled a 2 and a 3.
Also a 2.
I got an 11.
Okay.
I rolled a.
Wait, so what do I add that to?
Acrobatics, so that'd be +1.
I rolled 17.
17.
11.
3. All right. So you both impact on soft sand, and in the immediate point of impact, you just instinctively, learning how to fall and tumble, you manage to go with the momentum and step out of the way of that impact, minimizing the damage. You each take... Actually, you take 2 points of damage, you take 1 point of damage. You, however, go face first into the top, taking a significant amount of impact to your spine, your neck, and your shoulders. You take 4 points of damage from the fall, and are now head buried like an ostrich in the top of the sand pile with your legs and arms dangling like...
I got sandburn on me, Baron.
Oh my God,
Get me out of the ground already!
Look out! Don't get him yet! Let's look at it.
Goddamn
dwarf!
Let's try and pull him out.
It's not very hard. You yank him out at this point. It is nearly pitch black in this area. You can barely see a couple feet in front of you. But you can hear immediately there is this kind of distant sound, almost like the ringing of very, very gentle bells. It seems very out of place and perpetual, and the tone shifts and overlaps.
Yo, y'all hear that?
Yeah.
You hear that money clinkling?
Crystal bells.
Nah, that's some money clinkling right there.
That's not that. I don't
money
think
clinkling.
that's money.
Fine crystal
Clear your head and think straight for a second.
That's a wind chime.
That clinkling sound, money be clinkling like. Oh.
No, I think this is a great idea. Run straight towards it. Why don't you? Just see. Go. Run right to it.
Nah.
It's probably money.
Last
Last
time we did something like that, we ended up in a hole and your head was upside down.
That was a great moment.
I mean, it's moments like this that make memories. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna see that when I go to sleep later.
Yeah.
So the room we're in, it's mostly sand. Does it seem like
You
there's
can only
stone
see a
anywhere?
few feet in front of you.
Okay.
And you have a torch or any sort of light source?
Yeah, I have a torch. Got a torch in my dungeon ears packed.
Oh, I love your theme songs.
Yeah.
You light up a torch. As the light source spreads out into the room, you can see there's a large dome of sand that is slowly caved in from the top surface of this kind of small cave-in. However, about 30 feet down, it comes to rest on what looks like some sort of a slightly toppled stone structure that has been breached on this side, almost like there was something deep under the ground that has crumbled inward and the sand has slowly poured into it. Also seems to be the source of this strange ringing sound, this faint ringing.
I'd like to investigate the stone object and use stone cutting to see if I can roll
Using that stone cutting?
You know I know my stones.
Yeah, yo, and I give them Dwarven dap, because that's some Dwarven stuff right there. That's
dap it up
that's
proper.
that D shit right there.
What was this? Oh, look at me. I'm a halfling. Get real.
I know, yeah.
Well, as dumb as you two are, you are quite useful in these situations.
Hey, my man Snuggle, look at the rock. You can't tell me shit because you're not a dwarf. Man, you can't tell me shit.
Are you behind because you've been burnt?
Yeah. It gets some.
Yeah, your hand's looking really good right now.
Yeah, like your self-confidence. Now let me look at the store.
I know.
Go ahead, roll an investigation.
15. Do I add anything for stone cutting?
I would say I'll give you advantage in the roll, so you can roll a second time. Sure.
All right, I'm sticking with the 15.
All right. So as you step up to the what looks like a little bit of this stone outcropping that's kind of slowly peering out of the earth, it looks like this is the upper corner of a stone chamber that has crumbled in a little bit, and you're now peering into it from an elevated position outside of the chamber. Looking at the structure of the stone, the way it's built, carved, and wedged together to form the almost brick-like pattern of its making. It's definitely not Dwarven in make, but it looks very old, and it looks like the material itself is almost like a sandstone, and a lot of civilizations that long existed before proper stone cutting techniques were used, or stone can be moved from nearby mountains or underground territory, or even the Dwarven stone cutting techniques were spread across the land. This was a very primitive way of building subterranean structures. You gathered this interior is probably very, very old, well over 1,000 years. And as you peer down into it using the torchlight, you can see down into the chamber. It's rectangular in shape. There appears to be a trough with some sort of liquid that kind of is an ovaloid shape around a raised platform in the center. And in the center of this platform, on top of it, you can see a very, very dull blue glow from this crystalline kind of spherical orb that is resting on it. That's just giving off this very, very faint blue light. And the further you walk towards it, as you inspect the interior from the top of the hole in this stone structure, you hear that musical ringing sound get louder and louder as you step towards it.
Gotcha. How big does the crystal look like, roughly in size, shape, and weight?
About, say, about baseball size. It's about that big around.
Okay.
You can tell them this. It's about 25 feet from you currently.
Can I check the room for traps?
You're welcome to if you want to step up to the corner.
Yeah, you better do it quick, because that's a big-ass crystal, and it looks like it's worth a lot of money.
I really want to check for traps before this guy.
Yo, you better just hurry up and check it, man. Because I'm about to run in there.
Plus perception. It's plus 3? Yeah, perception.
Okay, 22.
22. As you kind of step towards the edge of the corner, you can see like the sand that is spilled into the room allows you a small decline to step into the room if you'd like to. As you get to the edge of the sand, you glance at the nearby panels and you can see there are small language runes that are carved into portions of the floor, many of which seem to be just situationally part of like a hieroglyphic storytelling aspect, the whole room, but a language you don't understand. What languages do you guys speak? Or
Common and Dwarven.
Yeah, Common and Dwarven.
I have no idea.
We're going to say you don't know it, because it keeps mystery abound. But you do notice that there are a handful of runes across the floor, primarily at the north, south, east, west type portions of the stone flooring surrounding the crystal, and where that small water trough surrounds it. On the outskirts of that water, on those positions, those four corners, the runes are deeper carved into the stone, and seem to almost have a quartz-like texture to them, almost like there was something quartz set into the stone flooring.
Totally clear. You should run down in there and see what see what
Sounds
that's all
great.
about. Yeah.
I've got an idea. Does any of you have something similar to the size of that there gem?
Oh, it's a good idea.
I'm gonna get a running start.
Yeah.
You sound like you're taking ideas from some type of lore that may not exist on this plane, and it sounds like a dumbass idea.
No, it's gonna be great. Trust me.
I'm pretty
it's
sure
gonna
I've
work.
heard this tale many years ago, and I don't think it works out too well.
This is anything but derivative. I don't know what you're talking about.
You've heard the tale
Trust
too,
me on
right?
this.
Yeah, there will be a giant boulder that will come rolling down towards your face. I don't think it will work.
Yo, how about this? Rope test 2.0, okay? So we're gonna get a rope and we're gonna throw it on the floor. We're gonna throw the rope on the floor. And then if anything happens, we know it's a trap. If not, I go and get my new gym.
As long as you throw the rope, I'm okay with this plan.
Swerve. Alright, I'm gonna cut off a piece of work.
More classic slang. Love it.
It works
Swear.
for anything. Oh, kitten masturbation, classic.
Classic. Oh, you have to see it to believe it. Sounds like these bells.
Classic dwarf.
All right, so as you step down into the room, you take a little bit of the rope, you cut it off with one of your swords, you take it and you toss it towards one of the small quartz-like runes in the ground. It hits and comes to rest over the small central quartz-type rune. A few moments pass, no reaction. Then the room shudders for a second. You feel the entire structure kind of shake with a sudden impact. A little bit of the sand
not good.
comes down and settles to rest for a moment before you start seeing certain blocks on the opposite sides of the room begin to glow.
Oh, great.
As they glow, they begin to drift out of the walls, almost suspended in the air, and beginning to lock together in different places, until eventually it forms a haphazard humanoid figure in a matter of seconds.
Oh, what is that?
Oh,
Damn.
my goodness.
This is definitely not
Oh, wow.
Oh, this is some like weird, like what?
You took the words out of my mouth.
Oh, damn.
At which point, this hulking humanoid form, probably now standing at close to 8.5, 9 feet tall, made of these sandstone blocks that have been pulled from the wall, hands in place, unmoving. The crystal in the center of the room flashes with a vibrant blue light, as it does in the center of this chamber where the eyes and the mouth of this humanoid would be. A similar blue light suddenly flicks on, like it's been given sudden sentience. At which point, this large sandstone golem type entity begins to charge towards you. Roll initiative.
No!
So you roll d20, add your initiative
modifier.
We fought some golems before.
That's all I had?
Yeah.
Alright, so.
20.
Nice.
16.
6.
Oh. Nice.
I like to call that the ringer, baby.
Button clean up.
Alright, so we're going to say at the top of the round, Salty, you got first up.
Oh, great.
You're still on the outskirts of the room now. The only person who's really stepped in at this point are the two of them. You're kind of still up at the corner. So you see it kind of charging more towards these two, but you have the top of the round, so up to you.
I'd like to slink off to the right, draw my short bow, and try to shoot an arrow at the crystal.
Okay. Cool. So as you kind of slide down the sand decline, you come around the edge, pull out your short bow, let it fly. Go ahead and roll for an attack.
Decline.
Oh no.
He's showing his legitimate D&D
11.
11. As you release the arrow, the shuddering of each footstep of the golem itself is very upsetting, and in the chaos, you let go of the arrow, missing by a mere inch. As it disappears into the darkness, you hear it ricochet.
You ain't no elf, man. You ain't no elf.
I know. I wake up every day ashamed.
Where's your weapon?
So that takes you to rest inside the chamber, kind of off to the right of where the rest of the party is. Next up, we have Snugglelord.
Okay, so
It's moving towards you.
it's running towards me really fast. I look around me and I freak out and I go, oh shit! And I cast that thaumaturgy and make myself appear to be a massive, giant-like individual with a booming voice, and I intimidate him and go,
You are beneath me, you foul creature. Yeah, make him punch you first.
For a moment, this frightened, shaking tiefling individual grounds himself, and this kind of greenish energy begins to build around his body. As it does, his physical form seems to almost rise 2 to 3 feet. His shoulders broaden, his face grows dark, his eyes begin to spark with a fiery red light. The voice booms out throughout the hallway and the entirety of this room structure, catching you off guard. Go ahead and roll an intimidation check.
Oh shit!
okay, well,
that could be.
Okay. 8.
8?
Yeah.
Total?
That's with a +6.
Oh.
Neither the speed, gait, or power of the golem seem to have slowed. It continues to barrel towards you.
You just made him bigger. You just made him bigger. He just made him bigger.
Go. I'll pay you more money. I swear. Get in there.
No, that's
Get in
the
there.
magic
All of my earnings from this, like that dude, that dad, that bad father. Obviously, I'll give you all of it. Just take care of this.
As you're saying this, the golem reaches forward before you finish your sentence and goes to grab you.
Goodbye.
What's your armor class?
Studded leather and 13 is my armor class.
Okay. You take 5 points of crushing damage as the hand reaches, crushes down on your shoulders and body, lifts you off your feet, and you are now considered grappled.
That's gonna happen.
Oh,
Of course.
He picked him up. He just grabbed him.
Do something,
Oh,
you stupid
no.
dwarves! Do something!
So if I'm swinging with 2 weapons, do I roll twice?
You do use a bonus action for a second attack. You just don't add your strength modifier to the second attack.
Oh, that looks bad.
So that's going to be 18.
18, okay, and roll the second attack.
All right. Oh, and because I have the 2-weapon fighter, I still get to add the strength
Oh,
modifier.
you do? Awesome. So yes, you can do both. Nice.
Oh, that one is going to be 12.
12 misses, unfortunately, but the first attack does ring true. Go ahead and roll damage.
All right. Well, you missed an 8. Listen, you are not Mr. 8.
That's Mr. 8.
I swing for plus strength. 11.
11 points of damage. Nice. Wow. So after it grabs and picks up the tiefling, you can see the fingers actually crushing it as it's screaming. You pull the weapons out, swing one that manages to pass under its arm. The second one goes straight into its torso and carves out a portion of the stone. Even though the sandstone is a very hard surface, you manage to find a portion between the bricks that jam together and actually carves a chunk of brick out of the side of its torso. You can see the structure kind of shifts a little bit on one side, and now it's kind of standing a little off kilter, but it's still solid in its current physical form. But well done, you cut a sizable part out of it. Brings us.
I'm still being crushed, you dumbass! Do something! That's some extra money, boy.
I'd like to reload my bow and take another shot.
Go ahead
Reload that bow.
Yeah.
Go ahead and fire again.
Is he trying the same thing again? I can't see anything. There's a giant
You bit your
rock
ass.
fucking hand covering my face.
13.
13? As you swing and release, this does hit the crystal, but at a certain angle that causes it to just
come
bounce
on!
off. It is a
It hit
spherical.
that rim.
It did. It's a spherical object. Unfortunately, it deflects, coming, piercing very well. Got close, but not quite enough to get to it.
Rats.
Do you want to move, or are you gonna stay where you are?
I'm going to, I'm going to move back. I'm going to move closer by 10 feet to the crystal.
Okay, so you shift up. You're now at the outskirts of that liquid
Yeah, I don't
moat
wanna-
that's surrounding it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's only about 5 feet wide, so you can jump over it easily.
Cool,
but you
cool,
stop
cool.
there. That ends your turn. You're up, Snugs.
Okay, can I use the hellish rebuke on him?
You
Am
can.
I allowed to do that?
You can. How's the Hellish Rebuke? There's the ability here. Let me pull it up real fast because I had to find any tieflings. There we go. Hellish Rebuke. That's a reaction you can make in response. So you actually could have done that like as he's crushing you, which we'll say you do right now. So as he's crushing you, you do that as a reaction immediately. You point your finger and the damage.
Stop it.
Right, so it's gonna try to
Stop it.
So it's being crushed like, you point your finger at its arm.
Actually,
The wet willy.
As you awkwardly finger the sandstone golem's
it's great.
brick structure, it fails at saving a throw, so it takes 2d10 fire damage.
What's on that finger?
Go ahead and roll. So 10 cider twice.
10 cider. Okay.
It's a
Roll that twice.
habanero sauce, Red
Yeah.
Willy.
It's a spicy finger blast.
2 and 4.
2 and 4? So 6 points of fire damage as your finger enters the portion between the bricks. There's a burst of flame, and it looks like an impact of some sort of internal arcane explosion, causing the sutures between all the different bricks to shake for a second. You see dust and sand settle between the portions of its torso that are holding its limbs to it. A pretty sizable impact from an unexpected position. So that was your reaction. Now what do you want to do for your turn?
Okay, great. Okay, so the cantrips can be used
As many times as you want.
Times as you want.
Yeah, do some more of that fire stuff.
know-
It's
yeah,
working.
Cast
man.
a spell. It'll
Yeah,
be
yeah.
great. Do more of that finger stuff.
Use it.
I'm gonna use the poison spray on him.
Okay,
And see
okay.
if that does anything.
Yo, you trying to poison some magic stuff? Down.
Sandstone's greatest weakness. Poison.
All right, so you bring your hand out towards the creature. You release this sudden burst of poisonous gas. It seems
I'm panicking, assholes! I'm freaking held up by the top of my head. This is really excruciating pain. I may have made a poor decision. I don't know. I'm just doing something.
as the cloud swarms around the entity, it does not seem to be affected by the presence of poison, as its physical form does not fall into the category of a natural living entity. However, you can use your movement to try and break free of the grapple.
So I try to run away and get out of the.
You try and break out. So go ahead and you can make either an athletics or an acrobatics roll. Your choice.
You should, acrobatics.
Acrobatics.
All right, go ahead and roll an acrobatics.
Okay, that's 12.
12? All right. You managed to just squeeze out of its grip, land on your feet, and get back about 5 feet. It's still right in front of you, but you're no longer in its grasp.
Slippery bastard.
Okay, so as its turn, it's going to do frenzy punches. It's going to do an attack on both of you. Just giant fists. It clenches its fingers together into 2 giant hammers of sandstone.
Come at me.
Oh, damn it! No, I can't take this kind of punishment.
That's going
You're
to be
supposed to take these.
a 16 against you.
My armor class is 16.
It just manages to impact, so as one fist goes boom, hitting you right in the breadbasket. You can feel the armor absorbs a lot of the blow, but it still nearly knocks the wind out of you.
The basket.
You take 7 points of bludgeoning damage.
God damn!
The sheer impact and force of the blow. As it pulls its fist back, it backhands towards you.
Of course, yeah, give me
Snugglelord.
the backhand.
That's going to be an 8. What's your armor class?
13.
13. You whoosh, duck beneath the arc and swings wildly, missing you entirely.
Dodge that! All that luck being wasted on you, man. That hurt.
Oathguard, it's your turn now as you recover from the blow.
You got this. You got this.
Oh, nobody punched me in the chest and lived to tell the tale. So I'm gonna go ahead and slice and dice. All right, Regina. I swing for
His right hand sword.
21.
I say
21 hits,
Regina.
His right hand sword.
I just love color commentary.
And Linda.
Oh.
And with Linda, I swing for 19.
Both hit. Go and roll damage on both strikes.
Oh, yeah. So, Regina smacks for 5.
5 damage.
Linda smacks for 11.
Nice. So you bring both swings down simultaneously, streaking an X mark strike across its back. As you do, you carve a sizable rock from the side of its back. As the stones tumble off of its torso and kind of its shoulder area, it hits the ground and poof, they just turn to dust upon impact with the ground. You can see now, within the sandstone in the center, there is kind of a crackling arcane energy, almost like a spider-like electricity that is holding its form together. That is the same color as the stone in the center of the room. Like, do you want to move at all? Or you gonna stay where you are?
I think I'm gonna stay there and actually use an action surge to swing at the innards of this beast.
Okay, go ahead and roll another attack.
Oh,
I don't know what
go in for
wrapped
that.
up in this beast.
Like the magic
that
school bus
is
going
going
inside.
to be 14.
14. With this action surge strike, you go and you bring your sword down. As your sword gets within a few inches of the back, a bit of that blue energy arcs out and hits the blade, causing your hand to recoil instinctively. You drop the weapon for a second from the sheer shock of it, realize what you've done, and reach out and pick it up again. It manages to knock your attack out of use, unfortunately.
Y'all, go for the crystal. I think the blue stuff ain't working.
That brings us up to the top. Salty, you're up.
All right,
Do it again. I know I said it was stupid last time, but go for it.
I'm gonna believe in myself. I'm gonna sprint towards the crystal, leap through the air, doing a flip, grabbing it, and taking it out of its way.
All right.
So with the you just have to add the flip.
Go ahead.
Go for broke.
Go ahead and make an acrobatics roll.
I got a 1. This die is terrible. This is hot garbage.
You back up, pushing off the back wall of the room. You go into a ninja sprint, leap through the air over the moat of brackish liquid around the orb. You reach out and realize you're about 1.5 feet too high. You reach down for it, pass it through your fingers, you tumble over and land back first into the other side of the moat. Splashing liquid all over your back and torso. You tumble off, slide across the other side of the room, slam, hitting the opposite side on the wall, on your back with your feet, ass up, ass over tea kettle.
Never believe in yourself.
You are considered prone, and you take 3 points of acid damage from splashing the liquid.
Oh, God.
Snugglelord, you're up.
Believing in yourself is a lie. Once again,
It's coming for me.
D&D teaches real
It's not in that
life
section.
lessons.
Wait, where's it? This friend.
I almost got it.
I know, friend. It's
Are you casting a spell called Friends?
Oh no, I can't. No, I can't. I can't do it because he's hostile towards me. I cast fire into the weak spot on the back to see if fire does anything to disrupt the energy that's inside.
What spell are you using for that?
The thaumaturgy.
Thaumaturgy?
Thaumaturgy.
Okay, as you focus for a second, you raise your hand up in the air using your demonic heritage to call forth some infernal fire that bursts for a second in the center of where that electricity is. It sparks up and then is snuffed. No seeming effect.
Shit. Am I allowed to move after that?
You can move after that, yeah.
I move a couple steps back to like, oh shit.
Okay, so you carefully step away. It takes a swing at you as you step out of its range. That is going to be an 11, which I believe misses you.
Yes.
So as you step out of the way, it comes down with a giant fist, hammer blow style, and you sidestep out of the way as it cracks some of the stone on the
Can
ground.
we all take a second to laugh at how great what Salty just did was? Because that was amazing!
It was pretty great.
Wolfgar, yeah.
I mean, so much.
All right. Am I close enough to the crystal to run towards it?
You can. You probably take an attack from the creature.
All right. Yeah, run towards it safely, not trying to do any fancy flips or anything like that.
Yep. So as you rush past, it swings out at you. That's going to be a 14. I think you said your AC 16.
Yeah.
So it glances off your shoulder. You take the blow, but keep pushing forward with the sheer force of your dwarven physical self.
Woo!
As you leap just over the liquid, I'm just going to make you make a quick athletics roll.
All right. I roll 24.
24.
Come on.
You leap across, 3-point landing.
Kobe!
3-point landing on the ground. You stand up, the orb's there in front of you. You want to grab the orb, you said? want to grab the orb, you said?
Yes.
Okay, you grab the orb, you pull it off the pedestal. Make a Constitution saving throw.
Classic slang.
For Constitution, I roll a goddamn 24.
24. As you clutch the orb, you can feel for a moment the electrical energy surging through your forearms and into your body, and for a second your muscles tense and you feel like your physical form is being slowed down, but you shrug it off for a second as you're clutching it in your hands right now. You're looking at it, you've pulled it off the pedestal. As you pull off the pedestal, it leaves a couple of trails of sparks off the top that kind of stretch out between the pedestal and where you're pulling the orb off. You look back and the entity currently is looking like it's slowing in its physical ability to move around once it's in your grasp, but it is still turning around towards you, kind of looking, noticing that you've now grabbed something that is inherently connected to its physicality.
All right, then I break it and say, I own you!
30 seconds.
Great control.
14.
14? Alright. You take the orb, you spike it on the ground, and you see it crack upon the impact. It doesn't break, but a big solid crack suddenly spiders through the entire interior of the orb as it rolls off and kind of poof into the liquid on the outskirts. You can see that electrical center in the center of the sandstone golem flicker and flash with light, and you see one of its arms hits the ground behind it and scatters into dust and sand. It's still keeping its form together, and it's kind of like lurching towards you with its other arm rearing back for some sort of an attack, but it looks like it's having a really hard time holding itself together. That's going to end your turn. Salty, you're up.
Salty, you gotta put your hand in the juice again. You gotta put your hand in the juice, get that orb.
You cannot be serious.
Believe, Salty.
No, it never works.
I'm going to,
so if I'm not mistaken, I can expend a hit die to regain some health. Is that true?
You can during a rest, not in the middle of the combat, unfortunately.
All right.
You got this, baby.
I've got... I think I have 3 hit points. 5 or 3. Somewhere in... I think I'm at 5. So the orb is in...
It's currently... he slammed it in the ground, it cracked, and it rolled into the moat on the kind of... To you, be on the right side of the building right now.
Come on. All right, I'm going to take my cape, wrap it around my arm,
okay,
and just run and scoop it.
Okay, so you use half your movement to get up, and you rush towards. You can get just to the outside of it. You can see a little bit of the blue interior. You reach down inside and you pull it up. I want you to go to make a Constitution saving throw.
You got this.
Not using that.
Salty.
Not using that die again.
I kind of believe in you.
Salty. Oh, you shouldn't have done that. It's only a 7.
So as you pick up the orb, you grab it as triumphantly in your hand. You can see the liquid itself not touching your skin for once. However, there is a surge of electrical energy into your body, and as you grasp it, you feel the muscles in your arm and shoulder and back all tense up. You find yourself held in place, unable to move.
Guys,
that ends your turn. Help. That brings us to Snugglelord. What you got?
It's the orb. Break that orb, man. It's the orb.
I pull out my crossbow.
Oh no! No, anything like that!
I always knew it was going to end like this. That's what the gypsy woman said.
You have other spells.
Not really. No. I picked terrible spells for this.
Yeah, your first level spells, you have 3 you should have.
Yeah, betray friend.
What's your melee weapon?
Eldritch Blast. I have a hand axe.
Eldritch Blast.
You have Eldritch Blast?
Do you have Eldritch
No, he
Blast?
doesn't have Eldritch Blast.
No. I picked all the...
He has
all the spells I picked are all based on me lying to people. I am worthless in a battle.
Smash it.
Okay, I'm gonna smash it at it. I'm gonna run up and smash it in his
no.
with the hand axe. I'm not worried.
Don't worry.
I'm obviously not worried about his hand. He's already lost a lot of use.
I know.
The skin is gone. Like he'll be. It doesn't matter. You're not gonna masturbate with that thing anymore.
I never did.
I take
That's what Mrs. Potter
Snugglelord's tiefling form darts into the shaded interior of the room, runs across. Go ahead and just make an acrobatics check real fast to leap across the moat.
Sever his wanking hand.
Classic
Dwarven move.
Classic tiefling betrayal.
Okay, all right, 19.
19. You leap over without an issue. You actually tumble and roll on the ground. As you come up, you use the inertia to swing your axe in a wide arc down towards his hand. Roll an attack.
Yeah. Okay, so
I'll drink to your name, man.
What do I add?
You about to be
What do I add on these for attack?
You get 15, you beat a 14 armor class. You hit.
Okay, so still in character holding
So,
the
go ahead and roll damage for the axe.
What do I use?
Oh, this is gonna suck.
1d6.
1d6 and add your strength modifier to it.
Well, that's
0.
All right.
1.
No, that's for the attack.
One's all you needed.
One. Okay.
The crystal was already heavily damaged. You bring the axe down. It shatters the crystal into 100 pieces across the room. I want you to go ahead and roll another damage attack on his hand.
Yeah, fucking great.
How many hit points did you have left?
5 on a good day, 3 more realistically.
Low roll.
1.
Oh, 5. That's a whammy.
So, as the crystal shatters, you can see the golem form, which is coming up behind you with a giant piston-like hand, suddenly just vanishes into dust and sparks as it scatters across the ground. The axe swings through, and you're extremely excited at the impact as you look up and see what is a fingerless half hand now bleeding profusely.
You look better now! Oh, everybody's a fucking comedian!
Which is the last words you say before you fall unconscious in the ground from the severe shock and blood loss.
I miss me blood.
We did it, Olga!
Oh man, I really like that dude, man.
He's fine. He just lost some fingers.
So as he's now unconscious on the ground, bleeding out, does anyone want to try and help him, or
I'm gonna try and resurrect him in some way.
All right, go ahead and make a medicine check. Do you have a medicine kit or anything like that?
I don't have one.
Yes.
I just have the Dungeoneer's.
All right, make a medicine check.
Cauterize the wound.
Are you trying to say stop the bleeding with thaumaturgy? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, cauterize my stump.
By screaming
You could
at
stick a dagger into the end of that.
He
He'll
does
be fine.
thaumaturgy. He can.
Yeah. Or that spicy finger blast.
So
you're saying I should
roll 17 for medicine.
17. Okay. We'll say between the two of you working together to bring out some material. You rip off part of a cloth you had stored in your bag. You use thaumaturgy to go ahead and cauterize the wound. Eventually, you stop the bleeding. You wrap it up, and you wait a few moments. He comes to slow consciousness. Sore, worse for wear, but alive nevertheless.
Oh,
you did good.
I did it.
You did good.
I beat the golem. I did it.
Yeah.
You did all of it. It was all you.
I'm gonna throw up blood.
Just want to get you guys invoice. That gem that you guys destroyed was probably worth like 500 gold. So y'all both are in debt.
You're still getting paid.
Classic Dwarven accounting.
Still getting paid. We just go back to the bad father. He'll give you your money.
Yeah. You totally gave up your share. So it's between me and Salty Sam.
I remember that.
You notice as you're on the ground, so looking around, the brackish liquid that surrounded it seems to have lost a lot of its darker, kind of viscous aspect, and now it's kind of clear, smooth, pure water.
I'm gonna plunge my mangled paw into that clear ass water.
Oh, it is cold and slightly helpful in soothing the pain. And you're glad for once since you've arrived here to see some water that is not absolutely terrifying.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, man,
it's good. It's good.
Oh man, so do you want me to pick up your fingers?
Yeah, that'd be fucking great.
All right, so I put his fingers in my pack.
I'm a little short-handed.
Go ahead and make a perception check.
All right.
Finger scouting mission.
Where are the other 3?
For perception, 10.
You find 2 fingers. God knows the rest are buried either somewhere in the remains of the sand creature or somewhere else in the room. But after a good 5 minutes of scouting, you managed to find 2 of the digits.
All right.
You can still rock on though.
Yeah.
As long as it's
These
2.
two. That's all you need.
This is all I have. Surf's up.
As you guys slowly find your way back up to the top of the pile of sand that led you into this chamber, you look up and you can see there's a small bit of light, and you hear a voice echoing through going, "Hello? Hello?"
Yeah, we are down here, and all the trouble seems to be gone.
You're alive?
Yeah, well...
Yeah.
You could say
kind
that.
of. We're kind of okay.
All right, hold on. And eventually, over a few minutes, you see a small rope being let down.
Oh, that's what I like to see.
One by one, they
You
pull
know how
you
you
up.
like those ropes.
One by one, they pull you back up to the
Battle-proof vest.
surface. You find yourself in the center of the town, and everyone's gathered around with what seems to be a slightly more positive demeanor to them. As you guys all get up there, Lily runs up and kind of gives you all an immediate hug and says, "Thank you. I felt it lift. I felt the darkness in my mind disappear. Whatever you did, it worked. You've lifted the curse."
Please, please, don't shower us with all of your riches and food and foul women.
This guy's delirious from fighting a golem.
If you must throw all of those things at us as some sort of reward for the good deed we have just done, that would be wonderful and great.
All of them kind of look at each other, and you can see there's a few of the people now have stepped out of the tent. Some of them almost leprous in the way they're bandaged. Just go, and the old woman goes,
We haven't much in the way of food, but we've pulled our resources.
and she looks to the halfling male, but apparently the father figure, to Lily, who says, "A promise is a promise." And he reaches back and he pulls out a pouch. You can see it's hefty, full of coins, and looks to who to plop it to immediately.
It's over here.
Yeah,
he gave it away in the back.
He's not gonna catch it. He's not gonna catch it.
Oh, yeah, great. Make fun of the cripple.
Yeah, all right. Lily, I just want to say I really like these moments we share together. I think that we make a good team, and I'd love for you to continue on this adventure with us, and so we can get to know each other.
The sandstones on this one.
It's like it's like an adventure date.
Make a persuasion roll against her father.
9.
She look at you with a smile of hope, looks at her father, who goes,
No, man, I saved your town.
"And
All
you've
right.
been paid for it."
All right.
What about this? We want the crone with the violin.
She looks ecstatic at the prospect that somebody even noticed her playing. Goes,
Or can I?
looks back at her with a certainly.
Okay, I'll get my stuff.
Are you sure you?
I love music. Play something baroque.
She grabs in her tent and pulls out a small sack, throws it over her shoulder. With the other hand, she pulls out this tiny, crappy-ass violin that looks like it's seen better days on the road, and begins to play against the side of her shoulder this withering.
Great, we now have the saddest fucking traveling group of misfits I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, let the dude with the nubs have his,
Classic.
Yeah, you
nut
got all
jobs.
the money. You got all the money. That's great. He's without fingers. I've got nothing out of this.
I've got 7. Lucky number.
And with
I'm
that,
glad you're keeping it positive, my friend.
and with that, the legend of these journeymen continues forward into the annals of history. Well played, guys. So what is the name of your party? What is the title of your traveling band?
What is the party title?
Man.
Nubbin Butters.
Nubbin Butters?
It seems like something this guy would say.
The good, the rad, and the nubbly.
The good, the rad, and the
nubbly.
The good, the rad, and the nubbly? I like
Yes,
that.
all about that.
All right, that you've seen and enjoyed the adventure of the good, the bad, the good, the rad, and the nubbly,
Good, the rad,
in a completely improvised role-playing game experience. Well done, guys. That was awesome. That was fun to watch.
Thank you, Matt. That's a lot of
that was
fun. I've
fantastic.
never. This is my first role-playing experience ever.
You did
Yes.
Yes.
So good.
You
Never
look so
done one
happy.
before.
Yeah,
This is fun.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
a lot of fun. I didn't have friends growing up, so I never got to play this.
See, you should have went to
You got
those.
friends now.
No, there weren't enough people. I lived in the woods.
Oh no! See, what I did is I went to Gaia forums. If you go to Gaia
We
forums,
didn't have internet either, man. We didn't even have
Super
internet.
sick.
I didn't know these things existed.
yeah.
I was the same way. I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Classic tale of childhood.
Oh, so sad.
I'm sorry. That's gonna have to be integrated somehow.
Oh god, it's painful. It's so great.
All I hope is that the fans of Critical Role got some enjoyment out of that, and that we get even an inkling of the fan art that you guys get when you do your show.
Oh, I'm sure there's
yes.
gonna
Something,
Please,
For sure.
something.
I really want to see Salty Pete with his cape.
No, we didn't really
flag,
get a good
his
description
pirate
of what
cape
you look
Oh,
like.
basically, I look like a dark iron orc, which is like a grayish stone skin. I got a Kimbo slice beard going on.
Kimbo, hell yes!
And I have an iron chain around my neck at all times over my chain mail, and I got a stein with brass knuckles as the handle. And I always wear my gold sack just out, so people know how much money I'm rocking with.
How much you love money.
Yeah,
I basically look exactly like a tiefling wearing a unicorn onesie for no apparent reason whatsoever.
No. Which was a
I
really
did cut a nice little tail slot out of the back though, so.
Good.
Right.
That wasn't confusing at all for the horse you've been riding this whole time.
No, not at all. Well, that horse had seen better days now.
Yeah.
What do you look like, Salty Pete?
Well, Salty Pete strikes an imposing figure. He cuts a mean swath. Basically, he's wearing a battered leather jerkin, some rich woolen pants to get him through those salty nights on the open seas. He also has a velvet doublet because you got to treat yourself right every now and then. And of course, he's never seen without his signature black cape, which was once upon a time the flag fly above the masts on the Obsidian Hell, the ship that he lusted after. And he also has a grizzled gray beard, not Kimbo Slice-esque, more like Sir Davos Seaworthian in stature and size.
Nice.
Fantastic.
We basically look like the most hilarious gay bar troupe you could straight out of Central San Francisco.
I would party.
I've got these
so
two
hard
on
with
metal
you guys.
chains.
I'm a polar bear.
Metal chains.
Get on that, artist.
Anime convention.
I'm pretty sure West Hollywood, I've seen somebody walking down the street in this exact get-up. Like,
No, I'm pretty sure I have. So here's my question. Because was this your first time playing D&D 2, Dan?
No.
Oh, hell no.
No.
You can
Okay.
tell.
Yeah.
But this was your first time.
I've never done this. It was great.
Did you feel like it was intimidating, the role-playing aspect of it at first, and how did you feel any awkwardness easing into it?
Well, we are on the internet in front of a lot of people that are silently judging me. There is that small factor of also that usually there's people sitting here that are fucking professionals. So there is a slight bar that's really, really high. Like, a little intimidation there. The role-playing part's really fun. What I'm intimidated by is just, this is a lot of stuff. This is a lot of information, and it's a lot to learn. I'm excited to learn, and I want to know what all this stuff is, because I don't want to feel like a dum-dum. I feel kind of like a dum-dum, but this is great. This is so much fun. But yeah, a little intimidated by how vast the knowledge is that's incorporated.
There's a lot to throw at you at once. You did really good with what was thrown at you.
It does start to feel smaller. It does eventually start to feel. It's like learning how to juggle. You're like, and then suddenly it's okay.
Once you learn the basic math, it's basically just applying that to every situation. And once you sort of get that down, it's just a matter of getting into the minutia. And that's something that took me a while because. Math is not my strong suit.
Oh, no.
Unless it's the number one, which I will roll all day, every day.
Yeah, you were great at those number ones.
I thought it was golf.
Yeah.
It's like once you learn that basic system, it's really cool because then you can sort of extrapolate from that and apply it to every situation.
No.
What?
I mean, that's literally how it works.
I mean, I was gonna say we could elaborate on Iffy's D&D experiences, but I prefer to not travel down that trail.
Yeah, no, I've been in a few groups. I'm currently in a UCB group, and I usually tend to play I'm the guy who starts the fights all the time.
And Hector was in your group, but you guys killed him off, right?
Well, he got into that was actually a day I wasn't there. He's our only cleric, and the one fight the DM told me that the fight initiated. Monster went for Hector, critical hit, dead, one shot at the beginning of the encounter.
Oh god!
Yeah,
brutal. Got piked.
Brutal. Yeah, and so the guys that I play with decided because Hector missed a few, so we were like, oh, we'll just resurrect him when he comes back. And so we were playing last Sunday, and I was like, oh, what about Hector? And he goes, yeah, how long till we have to resurrect him? He goes, oh, it's about 10 days. I was like, how long has it been? He's like, in the game, it's been about a month. so his corpse is rotting.
Was right.
Yeah. And so,
Should have put that in my calendar.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Whoops.
Oh, we missed that resurrection appointment.
Oh yeah.
Reschedule.
Can I take one small moment to say I saw we were at 3,170 subs, 30 more. We'll do another giveaway of a book and a picture because we have we're working out. It will take us a little bit to get the books though, guys, because I'm pretty sure you guys had something to do with this, but in the last 2 weeks, all of the D&D handbooks on Amazon have been out of stock.
Oh yeah.
And they weren't a month ago, and we keep trying to add them to our wish list to get more, and they're just out of stock. So we're working on getting some more so we can do them for giveaways and stuff. But when we get to 3,200, we'll give away some more. So sub if you can. It supports all of us.
Yay.
For being here.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Have any last comments you want to make before we sign off?
Thank you, coaches.
I would love it if what was your name again?
Oh, me?
No, the whole. No, the group. The group.
The good, the bad, and the nubbly.
The bad, and the nubbly.
The good, the rad, and the nubbly.
The good, the rad, and the nubbly.
The
If they could come back somehow and intersect with us, that would be nice.
Multiverse.
If we cross your path,
are we on
run
Earth
away.
too?
Just run the fuck away, all right?
We're like, oh shit, it's the good, the bad, and the nubbly. Run!
Go the other way, guys.
We'll see if this can be organized.
You'll see us coming from a hill a long way away. The guy on the horse with the two dwarves on chains and leather behind him. Like,
You're just that adventuring party where whenever you roll into town, we're just like,
You know, it's like the Blue Beetle and Booster Gold of the Critical Role.
Oh, classic Skeets.
Thank you.
I'd like to say to everybody watching and that have those questions about like how do you roleplay, how do you have fun? You just saw three dudes with different levels of experience having all an amazing time, and we loved every second of watching it.
Doing something totally different than what we do.
Than what we do. It doesn't.
Totally
no game
different
has to be the same. you just play it how you want. And this is we had such a good time.
And I actually had someone tweet at me being like, talking about us mentioning how you shouldn't be intimidated by role playing, and they said, yes, well, conversely, not everyone's an actor. And I just want to address that. Like, role playing has nothing to do with acting.
I am not an actor. I'm not an actor.
Role playing isn't about acting, it's about playing pretend. It's about make believe.
With your friends.
With an emphasis on playing.
Play.
So just play. It's not about coming up with a character and a motivation and any of that. It's about just play.
Or that money.
Or that money.
Sometimes motivations are easy to come by. You just tap into that inner part of yourself.
Throw them gold
there's a
pieces
character
on
in
the
all
table.
of you guys. There's
Throw
a
them
character
gold
in
pieces
all
on
of you.
the
Just
table.
tap into that
You
inner
won't
empty
see something when you
and
put
just
some gold pieces
put
on
it
the
out
table.
on the table for
Have you ever seen a dwarf strip? Have you ever seen a
as sarcastic as Zach is being, it's totally
It's
true.
true.
It's totally true. Like, if you guys noticed, they made their characters while Matt was talking about DMing, and then they had fully fleshed out characters by the time they started playing, and mainly that's because they just had a few solid ideas, and then their characters built as the story unfolded. And that was great. It was awesome.
And like I said earlier, if you are still intimidated, don't worry. You don't have to come out of the gate being completely open to it. Just find your way in. Play as comfortable as you are, and work towards getting to that point where you're able to talk as that character, and just notify the rest of the party and your DM that you're working on it, and let them be respectful, and eventually you'll find your way comfortable to talk this. If that's what you want. Some games just want to be, Diablo style dungeon crawlers, kill shit, get loot, and that's totally fine too,
And seriously, if anyone judges you because of your role playing, fuck them. They shouldn't be in your game anyway.
Sneak attack, they won't expect it.
Sneaky Pete 'em!
5d6!
Sneaky Pete 'em right in the face.
Just be willing to
play
be
a party frag.
Yeah.
Be willing to be stupid, because that's half the fun.
Yeah.
Friendly fire is on.
So guys,
I'm a big proponent of friendly fire. I spent
apparently.
Oh, Zach, do you like friendly fire?
Oh yeah. Well, basically, quick story. Last Sunday in our group, we kidnapped a guy because we were questioning him, and he just never was intimidated by me because early in the game I tried to bluff check him to try and give me 200 gold for no reason and rolled a 1, and so we had him and so Dench Strongjaw is a barbarian, huge barbarian. I rolled hot that night. Like I have 20
1 strength, and so I tried to punch him to knock him out. So because he started screaming for help when we ran inside his apartment, and I broke his jaw, and we dragged him into a nearby cave, and so the whole time, so
that man was Kanye West through the wire.
so through that, we have this I think warlock or wizard who summoned this infernal mastiff to ride, and he was talking a lot of shit. So I rolled and punched his mastiff, and since it was a spell, I punched it out of existence. And that's when the archivist came to, and he was and he just sees me punch him, and I kept saying "we're good people" because I realized that I'm neutral good, so I didn't want to torture him. And then that's when the deal was just so you know, he came to, you punched a devilish mastiff out of existence and yelled "we're good people" over and over to him.
That's a way to get it across.
Yeah.
That's the kind of shit that happens, yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope it's been informative, at the very least fun to watch. We'll definitely be up next week for the continuation of the Critical Role storyline, picking up where Kavarn was defeated in the depths of the temple of Yogg-Varil, the Illithid city deep beneath Craghammer, and see where the party goes from there. A big round of applause for our coaches and friends working out tonight. Big round of applause. Happy birthday, Liam!
Where's your cake? Where's your cake? Go grab the cake. We have a cake for Liam. We gotta sing happy birthday. We gotta sing happy birthday with the cake.
The non-licensed happy birthday.
Yeah. Oh, fuck it. We're gonna sing the licensed one. What are they gonna do?
Fuck you, Twitch.
You really think that we're so on key?
Winston Birthday is gonna sue us.
Please.
Winston Birthday.
That's the name.
Of the Easter egg birthdays.
Oh my gosh. We also have shirts for sale, guys.
Oh my god.
It's so hard.
Because that was an amazing segment.
That was very pop art, dude. The hell?
Guys, my brain never stopped thinking about how in the world we're gonna make this thing survive forever. Gotta get those subs and sell those shirts. And by the way, guys, OMG Steve from Team Human came by today. He's here right now. He's been watching. I hope you've had a good time, Steve. You want to wave hi to everybody?
Yeah, come on, say hi to
Come back to the back and say hello. OMG Steve is a great member of our community of Team Human. We have the best community in the fucking He brought Liam cake and porters, treats, tasty treats. Thank you so much.
Seriously,
Steve,
thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah.
You're responsible for the potato balls.
Yes!
Oh, it's amazing.
No, you saved my ass. I didn't have enough time to get lunch today, and I came in and you brought all that. I was like, oh.
Thank you. We were waiting in line for potato balls, and we didn't get to
And we had to
potato
leave.
balls, and we had to leave, and then we got here, and there were potato balls.
Because I locked my keys.
Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Leo. Happy birthday to
Geek attack!
That's mine right there.
Does the cake take
Classic birthday.
Classic birthday.
Classic pastry slicer.
Thank you guys so much.
Good
night.
Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. We love you.